First up, of course, we have Chris Rock. The person who has shown the world the true dynamic of the Smith family is definitely Chris Rock. After Will smacked Chris on stage at the Oscars, the world got to see a different side of Will, and it was shocking. While comedian Chris Rock was speaking to the crowd and taking some dig at the celebrities in the audience, Rock decided to take a jab at Jada Pinkett Smith, and I'm sure you know what happens next. Chris said, quote, "Jada, love you, G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it," referencing her almost bald head, because in the movie G.I. Jane, the lead actress Demi Moore had a shaved head. Jada has been open about her struggle with alopecia, and that's why she shaved her head that night. Immediately after the joke, Will Smith decided to get up, interrupt the broadcast, and slap Chris Rock in the face for millions to see. Chris looked stunned and was not sure exactly how to respond. Will then walked back to his seat and yelled, quote, "Shut your mouth, keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth," twice. After the slap, Rock looked completely stunned, having no idea what to do or say. It looked like he was about to clap back and say another harsh joke about Will or his family, but Rock took the high road and decided to stay calm. The internet was set ablaze by the slap, with many not even sure if it was real or just staged for publicity. But considering the aftermath, it was clearly real. Although many pointed out that Will actually laughed at the joke moments before deciding to get up and slap Chris Rock. After this event, many are accusing Jada of wearing the pants in their relationship and manipulating Will to do her dirty work for her. There's a chance that he was simply defending his wife, but many believe that Will knew that if he didn't do something to avenge her honor in that moment, Will would have been in trouble. Even though the event was said to be the biggest night of Will Smith's life, which definitely it was, just not in the way that he wanted. Next up, August Alsina. After the infamous Oscars slap, old reports that Jada had cheated on Will in the past resurfaced. The pair have spoken about how they are in an open marriage, so we are not sure if it was really cheating or not, but Jada admitted she was in a quote entanglement with rapper August Alsina during a break with her husband. During the Red Table Talk segment where they spoke of the affair, Will looked visibly angry about the situation and pushed Jada to confirm that she did have a relationship with August. After admitting to cheating, she did not apologize or even seem remorseful. She instead deflected, saying, quote, "I was in a lot of pain, I was very broken," saying she only wanted to help August, but it turned into a relationship. Alsina had been introduced to Jada by her son Jaden at a London music festival in 2015. Insiders stated that August became like a member of their family, even going on vacations with them and staying in their mansion. August is 21 years younger than Jada, and he claimed that Smith had actually given his blessing to have an affair with his wife, an allegation that Jada has denied. Will also reported that he had affairs with other women during this time. He was rumored to have slept with co-star Margot Robbie. Many believe that Will's insane reaction to the joke is proof that he is in a toxic relationship with his wife, because he completely embarrassed himself on the biggest night of his life, all because of a bad joke. Even though it doesn't seem like Jada is ashamed of anything she did, it is strange that she tried to deny it, then downplayed it when she could not brush it off anymore. And without August coming forward, we would have never known about their strange relationship. Margot Robbie. Jada most likely hates actress Margot Robbie because it was rumored that Margot and Will had an affair while they were filming the movie Focus. But that's not all. Jada has also admitted that she has a bias against white women with blonde hair, which we assume attributed to this dislike. In 2018, Jada made headlines when she admitted on Red Table Talk that she has a racial bias, specifically admitting that she has a problem with blonde white women, saying on the episode, quote, "I do have my own biases, specifically with blonde women. Blonde hair on white women just triggers me, and I've had to catch myself." Pinkett Smith even admitted that she second-guessed doing interviews with blonde women in the past because they remind her of the type of kids who used to tease her in school. But Jada has worked hard to fix this bias and even admitted that white women still do face oppression based on their gender, making it easier to relate to them. Next up, Cherie Zampino. Cherie Zampino was married to Will Smith before he and Jada got married. The shady part is that Will and Jada started dating before he and Cherie were officially divorced. Jada's mother, Adrienne Banfield-Jones, dished on Access, quote, "I think initially when Will first called you, I think he was still married or he was just separated, and I was like, he's not available to you." Jada added that Will was div, but the worst didn't happen yet. But Jada later admitted that when she learned things were not finalized, she should have backed off. To make matters worse, Jada has claimed on multiple occasions that she never even wanted to marry Will. She only decided to go forward with it because she was pregnant. Her mother and Will thought that starting a family was the best idea, and Jada reluctantly agreed. Later, the couple agreed to an open marriage. Scientology connections. After the Chris Rock incident, some started connecting the dots between the bizarre slap and Scientology. This is because the Smiths have been tied to Scientology in the past, and physical punishment is a popular teaching in the church. Apparently it's a common teaching in Scientology to use slaps and other forms of physical force to show other Scientologists that they've done something wrong. After the slap, one user tweeted, quote, "There's a Scientology course, I guess you'd call it, that involves slapping or physically humiliating fellow Scientologists in a group setting as a means of exerting superiority. It's remarkably common within the cult." The user even shared that Tom Cruise is known to use similar styles of punishment, but instead of hitting, he uses shouting to intimidate movie crews. Although the Smiths have denied being involved with Scientology, the connection is pretty hard to deny. The couple were apparently introduced to the church by none other than Tom Cruise back in 2004. They got so involved with it that the Smith family spent almost $1 million in 2008 to set up a school for the church. The Smiths said they designed the curriculum in the school, but insiders claimed it was based on Scientology. Both Jaden and Willow attended, but the school closed 6 years later when most of the parents removed their children. Tony Ortega, an expert in Scientology, said that the Smiths left Scientology in 2015 and that Will at least only ever dabbled in it. However, he says that Jada was a full-fledged member and apparently everyone knows it. Next up, William Hendrix. The Oscars was the first time that many Will Smith fans saw him get violent. But to people like William Hendrix, his hot temper is well known. In 1989, Smith spent a night in jail after he hurt a man named William Hendrix so badly that Hendrix almost lost his sight. Even more coincidental, this incident happened days after Will won his first Grammy. I guess he likes to get into altercations around awards season. The charges were later dropped against Will. Will Smith was 20 years old at the time, and after getting in a verbal argument with the producer, decided to make things physical. As per a police report, Smith asked his bodyguard, Charles Alston, to quote attack record promoter William Hendrix, who needed 6 stitches after he fractured his left eye orbit during the altercation. Next up, Sony executives. One of the strangest things about the Smith family is the couple's relationship to their children. The Smiths have been open that they don't use punishment when dealing with their kids, and they pretty much let them do whatever they want. But this parenting style may have backfired, because it's common talk in the industry that Willow and Jaden are entitled brats that nobody wants to work with. Because of their parents, the kids have auditioned for many big roles in the past, but only Jaden has landed roles alongside his father. It was exposed that Sony executives have exchanged emails saying not to allow the Smith kids in their movies. As a response to this, Will shrugged and noted how, quote, everyone disses his kids. Some of this might stem from the differences between Will and Jada and how much fame they want their kids to have. Sources say that Will wants to push his kids to fame much more than Jada wants to, leading to a clear difference in parenting. Considering Will admits to being responsible for their kids' erratic behavior, it's not far-fetched to think that there's a clear difference in what both parents want for their children. First up, Nicola Peltz. Brooklyn Beckham's new bride, Nicola Peltz, has apparently butted heads with Victoria Beckham, claiming she is overbearing. It was reported that Victoria planned to help Brooklyn plan his wedding, and at first Nicola was overjoyed with the offer. However, months later, she changed her mind and didn't want Victoria making decisions on her behalf anymore. This switch didn't sit right with Victoria, because Victoria loves to be in control, especially when it has to do with her kids. A source said, quote, Posh has been incredibly generous with her time and efforts. She's worked up sketches for a series of gowns for Nicola to help her to pick from. It would be a total dream to dress her. But Victoria had to find out through friends that Nicola does not want her involved with the wedding dress selection. The source continued, quote, Nicola is grateful, but she wants to go with an up-and-coming designer with a more modern edge. Nicola and Posh love each other, of course, but it's not always smooth sailing. We're talking about two very big personalities, fiercely fashionable ones at that. It's hard to tell if there really is tension or if tabloids are just trying to take advantage of the situation. Leading up to the wedding, Brooklyn and Nicola have been very quiet about their plans. However, it's expected that Victoria will have a key role in the big day, especially since the wedding was rumored to have cost over $3 million, but we'll get into that later. Next, Chloe Grace Moretz. Before Brooklyn was married to Nicola Peltz, he was in an off and on again relationship with Chloe Grace Moretz, and it was rumored that he cheated on her in the end. In April of 2018, Beckham was spotted kissing model Lexi Wood in Los Angeles, before he or Chloe had announced if they were broken up. Of course, there's a chance the couple had ended things privately and just didn't want to share it, but there's another chance that they had not discussed where their relationship was going, and Brooklyn just started seeing someone else without talking to Chloe about it. Moretz told the Sunday Times, quote, breakups are hard across the board, but when every verified account on Twitter posts something about me, I get tagged, and every major publication is verified, so anytime they post something about a certain relationship, it pops up on my phone, which is how I find out about 90% of things. So clearly she found out about this new fling online, which is something you would not wish on your worst enemy. A few days after these paparazzi photos were leaked, Khloe seemed to clap back by posting a screenshot of Cardi B's song Be Careful, which is a song about Offset's infidelity. Moritz also liked a social media post that included a picture of herself with her middle finger up, aimed at Beckham. So clearly she was angry and wanted the world to know. Khloe confirmed their relationship in a 2016 episode of Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen by saying, quote, "We're in a relationship. It's fine, it's no biggie. The more I don't make it serious, the more people don't care, so yes, we're in a relationship." But after those photos of him kissing another girl leaked, they were over for good. Rebecca Luz. One of many women that David Beckham has allegedly had an affair with was his assistant, Rebecca Luz. The rumor first started in 2004 when he was spotted with a random woman in a Madrid nightclub. The woman was later identified as assistant Rebecca Luz. Sources then came forward and alleged that Luz and Beckham were very intimate at this club, and it was assumed that they were sleeping together. They also reported the two exchanged racy texts. The story claimed that Victoria contacted this assistant, warning her to stay away. After the story turned into madness, Luz confessed everything to Sky News, saying, quote, "I was getting a few innuendos, but I kept saying, no, he doesn't fancy you. Adding, quote, I would always say to myself, don't risk your job. And I knew there was a huge risk involved if I got involved with this man." But Luz admitted that they slept together after they connected following a night out with friends. Luz also claimed that there was problems in his marriage at the time. The Beckhams clapped back, claiming it was all made up and nothing intimate was happening between them. David also released a statement denying the claims, saying, quote, "The simple truth is that I am very happily married. I have a wonderful wife and two very special kids. There's nothing any third party can do to change these facts." The couple also threatened Luz with legal action, but since this is the first of many cheating rumors, there could be some truth to it. Sarah Marbeck. Shortly after the Luz affair rumors came to light, yet another woman came forward exposing her relationship with Beckham. This woman named Sarah Marbeck was a Malaysian-born Australian model. Marbeck told news outlets, quote, "He said he felt he'd been hit by a sledgehammer from the first time he saw me." Marbeck claimed that she exchanged explicit text messages with Beckham for years, but David called the story absurd and unsubstantiated. Victoria told The Sun at the time, quote, "We have been through a lot worse than this, and we're definitely going to get through this." Marbeck claimed that she had a 9-month affair with Beckham after meeting him at a party in Singapore in 2001. At the time, she released a statement saying, quote, "The reason I decided to go public with the details of my relationship with David Beckham is because for 2 years my life was on hold while I waited for him. He said he loved me and I slept with the phone by my bed waiting for it to ring. Finally, I accepted that my relationship with Beckham was over and I decided to move forward with my life. But in that time, my life changed forever and there's no way back for me." Next up, Charlotte Meredith. Victoria Beckham is allegedly in a feud with David Beckham's stepsister, Charlotte Meredith, and has been for years now. Apparently it all started in 2019 when Victoria did not invite Charlotte to Harper's christening. Of course, it was speculated that these were only rumors until the marriage between Ted Beckham and Hillary Meredith took place, and it was clear there was some tension with Victoria. A source said, quote, "Victoria didn't want to hang around and they left as soon as they could. Charlotte was hoping for some bonding time at the wedding, but Victoria avoided her like the plague. The thing that sealed the deal was a photo taken of David with his dad, stepmom, and stepsister. The missing link in this photo is Victoria, who we assumed did not want to be included. I guess we'll never know the reason why she wasn't invited to Harper's christening, but clearly it's made a huge impact on the dynamic of the family." Social media. If you hadn't already heard, Brooklyn and his new wife, Nicola Peltz, got married this weekend in a lavish ceremony. And when I say lavish, I mean uber lavish. Peltz comes from a lot of money, and her family are billionaires along with the Beckham's fortune, so it makes sense a lot of money would be spent. But after it was reported that the couple and their family spent $3.5 million on this insane wedding, social media users became very angry, claiming the money could have been spent in many other ways, like helping Ukrainians fleeing war. It's been reported that the bride's parents, Nelson and Claudia, footed the cost of the entire thing, because David and Victoria's $494 million fortune is pretty much nothing compared to Nicola Peltz's $1.6 billion family fortune. The wedding took place at the Peltz's Miami mansion. After the event, Twitter users flocked to share their disdain. One person tweeted, quote, "Something grotesque about this wedding. Brooklyn has no job, barely 20 years old, wasting all his money." Another said, quote, "Why David and Posh Beckham are spending $103 million when America and the whole world are having trouble with money. For one, his older son's wedding, not in the UK. They should have given that money to save the children of the world." Some Twitter users even pointed out that Peltz gained his massive fortune through fast food joints like Wendy's and Arby's, and since he is so insanely rich, he clearly has enough money to give essential fast food workers a raise. First up, of course, we have Chris Rock. The person who has shown the world the true dynamic of the Smith family is definitely Chris Rock. After Will smacked Chris on stage at the Oscars, the world got to see a different side of Will, and it was shocking. While comedian Chris Rock was speaking to the crowd and taking some dig at the celebrities in the audience, Rock decided to take a jab at Jada Pinkett Smith, and I'm sure you know what happens next. Chris said, quote, "Jada, love you, G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it," referencing her almost bald head, because in the movie G.I. Jane, the lead actress Demi Moore had a shaved head. Jada has been open about her struggle with alopecia, and that's why she shaved her head that night. Immediately after the joke, Will Smith decided to get up, interrupt the broadcast, and slap Chris Rock in the face for millions to see. Chris looked stunned and was not sure exactly how to respond. Will then walked back to his seat and yelled, quote, "Shut your mouth, keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth," twice. After the slap, Rock looked completely stunned, having no idea what to do or say. It looked like he was about to clap back and say another harsh joke about Will or his family, but Rock took the high road and decided to stay calm. The internet was set ablaze by the slap, with many not even sure if it was real or just staged for publicity. But considering the aftermath, it was clearly real. Although many pointed out that Will actually laughed at the joke moments before deciding to get up and slap Chris Rock. After this event, many are accusing Jada of wearing the pants in their relationship and manipulating Will to do her dirty work for her. There's a chance that he was simply defending his wife, but many believe that Will knew that if he didn't do something to avenge her honor in that moment, Will would have been in trouble. Even though the event was said to be the biggest night of Will Smith's life, which definitely it was, just not in the way that he wanted. Next up, August Alsina. After the infamous Oscars slap, old reports that Jada had cheated on Will in the past resurfaced. The pair have spoken about how they are in an open marriage, so we are not sure if it was really cheating or not, but Jada admitted she was in a quote entanglement with rapper August Alsina during a break with her husband. During the Red Table Talk segment where they spoke of the affair, Will looked visibly angry about the situation and pushed Jada to confirm that she did have a relationship with August. After admitting to cheating, she did not apologize or even seem remorseful. She instead deflected, saying, quote, "I was in a lot of pain, I was very broken," saying she only wanted to help August, but it turned into a relationship. Alsina had been introduced to Jada by her son Jaden at a London music festival in 2015. Insiders stated that August became like a member of their family, even going on vacations with them and staying in their mansion. August is 21 years younger than Jada, and he claimed that Smith had actually given his blessing to have an affair with his wife, an allegation that Jada has denied. Will also reported that he had affairs with other women during this time. He was rumored to have slept with co-star Margot Robbie. Many believe that Will's insane reaction to the joke is proof that he is in a toxic relationship with his wife, because he completely embarrassed himself on the biggest night of his life, all because of a bad joke. Even though it doesn't seem like Jada is ashamed of anything she did, it is strange that she tried to deny it, then downplayed it when she could not brush it off anymore. And without August coming forward, we would have never known about their strange relationship. Margot Robbie. Jada most likely hates actress Margot Robbie because it was rumored that Margot and Will had an affair while they were filming the movie Focus. But that's not all. Jada has also admitted that she has a bias against white women with blonde hair, which we assume attributed to this dislike. In 2018, Jada made headlines when she admitted on Red Table Talk that she has a racial bias, specifically admitting that she has a problem with blonde white women, saying on the episode, quote, "I do have my own biases, specifically with blonde women. Blonde hair on white women just triggers me, and I've had to catch myself." Pinkett Smith even admitted that she's second-guessed doing interviews with blonde women in the past because they remind her of the type of kids who used to tease her in school. But Jada has worked hard to fix this bias and even admitted that white women still do face oppression based on their gender, making it easier to relate to them. Next up, Cherie Zampino. Cherie Zampino was married to Will Smith before he and Jada got married. The shady part is that Will and Jada started dating before he and Cherie were officially divorced. Jada's mother, Adrienne Banfield-Jones, dished on Access, quote, "I think initially when Will first called you, I think he was still married or he was just separated, and I was like, he's not available to you." Jada added that Will was div, but the worst didn't happen yet. But Jada later admitted that when she learned things were not finalized, she should have backed off. To make matters worse, Jada has claimed on multiple occasions that she never even wanted to marry Will. She only decided to go forward with it because she was pregnant. Her mother and Will thought that starting a family was the best idea, and Jada reluctantly agreed. Later, the couple agreed to an open marriage. Scientology connections. After the Chris Rock incident, some started connecting the dots between the bizarre slap and Scientology. This is because the Smiths have been tied to Scientology in the past, and physical punishment is a popular teaching in the church. Apparently it's a common teaching in Scientology to use slaps and other forms of physical force to show other Scientologists that they've done something wrong. After the slap, one user tweeted, quote, "There's a Scientology course, I guess you'd call it, that involves slapping or physically humiliating fellow Scientologists in a group setting as a means of exerting superiority. It's remarkably common within the cult." The user even shared that Tom Cruise is known to use similar styles of punishment, but instead of hitting, he uses shouting to intimidate movie crews. Although the Smiths have denied being involved with Scientology, the connection is pretty hard to deny. The couple were apparently introduced to the church by none other than Tom Cruise back in 2004. They got so involved with it that the Smith family spent almost $1 million in 2008 to set up a school for the church. The Smiths said they designed the curriculum in the school, but insiders claimed it was based on Scientology. Both Jaden and Willow attended, but the school closed 6 years later when most of the parents removed their children. Tony Ortega, an expert in Scientology, said that the Smiths left Scientology in 2015 and that Will at least only ever dabbled in it. However, he says that Jada was a full-fledged member and apparently everyone knows it. Next up, William Hendrix. The Oscars was the first time that many Will Smith fans saw him get violent. But to people like William Hendrix, his hot temper is well known. In 1989, Smith spent a night in jail after he hurt a man named William Hendrix so badly that Hendrix almost lost his sight. Even more coincidental, this incident happened days after Will won his first Grammy. I guess he likes to get into altercations around award season. The charges were later dropped against Will. Will Smith was 20 years old at the time, and after getting in a verbal argument with the producer, decided to make things physical. As per a police report, Smith asked his bodyguard, Charles Alston, to quote attack record promoter William Hendrix, who needed 6 stitches after he fractured his left eye orbit during the altercation. Next up, Sony executives. One of the strangest things about the Smith family is the couple's relationship to their children. The Smiths have been open that they don't use punishment when dealing with their kids, and they pretty much let them do whatever they want. But this parenting style may have backfired, because it's common talk in the industry that Willow and Jaden are entitled brats that nobody wants to work with. Because of their parents, the kids have auditioned for many big roles in the past, but only Jaden has landed roles alongside his father. It was exposed that Sony executives have exchanged emails saying not to allow the Smith kids in their movies. As a response to this, Will shrugged and noted how, quote, everyone disses his kids. Some of this might stem from the differences between Will and Jada and how much fame they want their kids to have. Sources say that Will wants to push his kids to fame much more than Jada wants to, leading to a clear difference in parenting. Considering Will admits to being responsible for their kids' erratic behavior, it's not far-fetched to think that there's a clear difference in what both parents want for their children. First up, Richard Williams. Since the infamous Will Smith slap, many critics have stated that Will was selfish for taking the spotlight of Richard Williams, the man Smith portrayed in the film King Richard, as it was the night to honor Richard and his family. While the man himself has finally weighed in, and it seems that in the nicest way possible, he does not condone what happened at the Oscars. His son spoke to NBC News on behalf of 80-year-old Williams, saying, quote, "We don't know all the details of what happened, but we don't condone anyone hitting anyone unless it's in self-defense." Williams' son states that his father was shocked when Smith got up and suddenly slapped Chris Rock for making a joke about his wife Jada Pinkett Smith. Williams declined to say any more than that simple statement, although many were hoping Richards would comment on the comparison that Will Smith made to Richard Williams during his Oscars acceptance speech. Next up, Rose Rock. Chris Rock's mother, Rose Rock, has finally broken her silence on the slap during an interview with a local South Carolina TV station. Rock sat down with South Carolina News, WIS-TV, and shared her thoughts on what went down at the Oscars. Rock said, quote, "You reacted to your wife giving you the side eye, and you went and made her day because she was mulled over laughing when it happened." Rose shared that initially she thought the incident was staged or some sort of joke, but after Will began cussing about his wife, she knew it was real. Rock added, quote, "When he slapped Chris, he slapped all of us. He really slapped me, because when you hurt my child, you hurt me. When talking about the apology that later took place during Smith's acceptance speech, Rock said, quote, "No one heard his speech. No one was able to just be in the moment because everyone was sitting there like, what just happened?" The Oscars. After the infamous slap, the Oscars was put on the defensive, being forced to explain what happened and why Will Smith was not kicked out of the show after his insane behavior. Days after the ceremony, the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences, which runs the Oscars, said in a statement, quote, "Mr. Smith was asked to leave the ceremony and refused. However, this information has been debated, as a source told NBC News that while the higher-ups at the Oscars were debating what to do, one of the show's producers told Will to stay. However, a source at the show told NBC News that the official decision came from one of the show's producers. Days after this information came to light, the Oscars also announced their official decision on how to punish Smith for his actions. After deliberation, the Academy decided to ban the actor from attending the award show for 10 years. Smith, who resigned from the Academy last week, replied soon after in a statement saying, quote, "I accept and respect the Academy's decision." The official statement from the Academy said, quote, "The 94th Oscars were meant to be a celebration of the many individuals in our community who did incredible work this past year. However, those moments were overshadowed by the unacceptable and harmful behavior we saw Mr. Smith exhibit on stage. During our telecast, we did not adequately address the situation in the room. For this, we are sorry." As for the decision, they said, quote, "The board has decided for a period of 10 years from April 8th of 2022, Mr. Smith shall not be permitted to attend any Academy events or programs, in person or virtually, including but not limited to the Academy Awards." Next up, Alexis Arquette. Late actress Alexis Arquette came forward in 2016 with a huge secret. She claimed that Will cheated on his first wife, Cherie Zampino, with a man, and that's why the relationship ended. Arquette claimed that Jada is a beard for Will, and that's why they have an open relationship where Jada is allowed to sleep with other men. Arquette even claimed that Smith paid off Zampino after she caught him in bed with another man. Arquette claimed that Will was sleeping with Benny Medina, who is a well-known talent manager to stars like Jennifer Lopez and Mariah Carey. Arquette claimed that Will was doing everything possible to hide his sexuality, recalling an incident where Will refused to kiss Anthony Rapp on the set of 6 Degrees of Separation. In the end, the camera angle was changed so that the non-existent kiss was not viewed on camera. Arquette finished the Facebook post claiming she was angry that Will was hiding his true identity, adding, quote, "Gays have enemies. They lurk in gilded closets. Outing is healthy. You're either with us or against us. You decide today." And this is not the only time a rumor like this has come to light. In 2012, it was rumored that Will and Jada were headed for a divorce after she felt that he was a little more than friends with actor Dwayne Martin. Supposedly, they were spotted looking very close, even in restaurants together. Vitaly Siduk. Little known fact is that the Oscars was not the first time that Will Smith has smacked a man in public at an award show event. Vitaly Siduk interviewed Will on a red carpet almost a decade ago, and after they had a negative interaction, Will smacked him in the face as well. While being interviewed, the pair hugged, and when Siduk went to kiss him on the cheek, Will freaked out and backhanded him on the face. Although many felt this move was justified at the time, it shows that Will's first reaction in a negative situation is violence. The incident took place at the Moscow opening of Men in Black 3 in May of 2012, while Siduk was working for a Ukrainian television station. After the incident with Chris Rock, Siduk stated, quote, "I just immediately recollected the slapping incident in Moscow. I think the joke was inappropriate when it comes to someone's health, but Will's reaction is unnecessary and sends the wrong message to comedians being hit for a joke." Adding, quote, "I don't want to call Will Smith uncontrollable, he has a violent temper, yes, but I'm sure he realizes what he is doing." Siduk acknowledged that it was a bad joke and he understands why he was protecting his family, however it shows that violence is always his first instinct. Jeanette Hubert. Jeanette Hubert, the actress who played Aunt Viv on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air for the first 3 seasons, reportedly hates the cast, specifically Will Smith. She also dislikes his entire family and thinks they should get over themselves, saying once, quote, "You're not kings and queens, you're not royalty, you're simply entertainers." After portraying Aunt Vivian for 3 seasons, she decided to leave after contract negotiations went south. A feud between Hubert, Will Smith, and network officials was reportedly to blame. At the time she left, Will Smith said, quote, "I can say straight up that Jeanette Hubert wanted the show to be the Aunt Viv of Bel-Air show." Hubert responded by stating that Will Smith was unwilling to help her and would not elevate any other cast members during salary negotiations with NBC, saying at the time, quote, "We thought your influence would help us greatly, like they did on Friends. On Friends, the entire cast band together to ensure they all got an equal raise. However, at the time, Will felt he was better than his other castmates and claimed, quote, "My deal is my deal, and y'all's deal is y'all's deal." Years later in 2011, when there were talks of a reunion, she claimed there would never be a reunion because Smith is a, quote, "a-hole." When a photo of an apparent reunion was posted by Alfonso Ribeiro, aka Carlton, Hubert slammed it, calling Alfonso a media hoe and adding she will never participate because, quote, "I have no interest in seeing any of these people on that kind of level." Trey Smith. When speaking of the Smith family, most people only think about Will, Jada, and their kids Willow and Jaden. However, there's another son in the mix, Trey. Trey is a child from Will's first marriage to Cherie Zampino back in the early 1990s. Back then, Will was adamant on having a family and making them his first priority, but they decided to divorce after Will realized he was not able to love Zampino the way he wanted to. After Will married Jada and had kids with him, those two kids became his top priority, and he stopped spending time with Trey, causing Trey to feel, quote, betrayed and abandoned while growing up. Zampino once revealed that Trey would confide in her and admitted that when he was a kid, he did not feel loved by his father. However, thankfully things have changed with time, and Trey is a visible part of the Smith family now, even attending movie premieres with the rest of Will's kids. Will himself revealed in a past Instagram video that his son, quote, felt betrayed and abandoned by him, but they are now restoring and recovering the relationship.
We might feel like we know celebrities because their lives are heavily documented in the media, but there's a lot we don't know about their past and their personal life. Some celebrities who have everything right now once struggled to even get by. We're talking about celebrities who come from toxic families in this part 2 video. I'm your host for this one, Jasper. Thanks for coming back to Top 10 Beyond the Screen. Before we get into it, make sure you leave a like on this video, it really helps us out, and subscribe to keep seeing more. Beginning our list at number 10 is Nicki Minaj. The singer has been said to have found her set of wings within a broken nest. In other words, she came from a troubled childhood. In 2010, she revealed that her father was an aggressive substance addict who subjected herself and her mother to neglect, theft, and even arson. She spoke candidly with Vibe magazine and said, "When you have a father who is stealing your furniture and selling it so that he can buy crack, you suffer. You come home from school and your couch is gone. You're like, what happened?" Nicki was actually born in Trinidad but moved to New York at just the age of 5. She revealed that she lived in constant fear when she was young, worried that her father would end the life of her mother. But her father did get the help that he needed later in life and checked into rehab and started going to church. Sadly, he was struck by a vehicle earlier this year and passed away. Nicki has said that it has been the most devastating loss of her life. That's so sad. Up next, number 9, we have 50 Cent. Before he became one of the biggest rappers in the world, he grew up in a very broken home. His real name is actually Curtis Jackson, for anyone who has ever wondered but been too lazy to Google it. His father abandoned his family when he was born, and his mom was a substance dealer when he was very young. Sadly, his mother passed away when he was just 8 years old, so he was sent to live with his grandma. While his grandma did care for him the best that she could, Curtis seemed to follow down his mother's footsteps and went down a dark path with substances. He was arrested when he was just 18 for possession of a weapon at his high school. Even as his life and career progressed, he still struggled to break away from substances. It wasn't until his son came into the world where he made changes in his life. In 2005, he told People magazine, I quote, "My priorities changed. My son is the reason I stopped doing the things my mother was doing." I didn't even know he had a kid, to be honest. Swiping our number 8 spot is Christina Aguilera. Many people don't know the dark side of her past, and that's because she always puts on a very strong face. Even in her music, she came across as a very strong, independent woman. But in a candid discussion with E! News, fans got to learn a lot more about her personal life and where she came from. During her interview, she revealed that when she was a child, she felt completely powerless against her father, who was very aggressive and violent. She admitted that she turned to singing as an outlet for that. Christina's mother Shelly once remembered a very terrifying incident when she found Christina at just 4 years old with her face all bruised up. Turns out her father was napping and she apparently made too much noise. Her mom eventually left him and took her and her sisters to live with their grandmother so that they could be safe. To this day, Christina says the pain that she felt at home is actually where her love for music came from. In spot number 7, we have Angelina Jolie. The Hollywood star grew up in Los Angeles, which might seem like a dream for a lot of people, but it was not all glitz and glam in her childhood. She says she suffered from depression at a very young age because she just didn't appreciate her life. She talked to the Wall Street Journal and said she couldn't appreciate or understand her life at the time, which led her to be very destructive and miserable. She explained and said, "I was raised in a place where if you have fame and money and you're decent looking and have the ability to work in this industry, you have everything in the world. Then you attain those things and realize you still couldn't be more empty." Things got so dark for her that her childhood caregiver once said that she had to take Angelina to the hospital because her struggles with anorexia were so severe. And for anyone who doesn't know, she was actually born into parents who were already actors at the time, so she grew up in a world of fame. Cruising into number 6 is Ashley Judd. Her Her on-screen presence would never show that she's been through some traumatic experiences in her childhood, but fans got to learn all about them in her memoir. In 2011, she wrote a memoir called All That Is Bitter and Sweet and revealed shocking details of the neglect, assault, and exposure to substances that she faced when she was younger. Because of how traumatic her life was growing up, she admitted to being severely depressed throughout her life. She said that she was neglected during her mother's rise to fame as a country superstar, which most people might think would be really cool to have a parent gaining fame as a musician. But it was actually the opposite for Ashley, and she was happy to finally share it with the world. When talking about sharing all these very disturbing details to the public, she said, "The shame and the keeping ourselves sick through secretiveness is one of the things we all need to have the courage to undo."
Number 5. Nicki Phillippi. The YouTuber with 1.23 million subscribers typically posts family, lifestyle, and Christian content featuring her husband Dan and son Logan, and occasionally the family's dogs. Nicki has been no stranger to backlash, like in March of 2020 when she faced criticism for recommending a vitamin treatment for COVID-19. She published a video titled My Virus Story, where she claimed that she was treated for what her family believed to have been a viral infection with high-dose intravenous vitamin C, and recommended it as a treatment for COVID. That was pretty bad, but fans were livid when Nicki and Dan posted a video sitting on the couch discussing their family dog Bowser, and they revealed that they ended up euthanizing the dog after it bit their son one day. They also tried to play it off as a good thing and explained that Bowser was aggressive and had behavioral issues, but longtime fans of the channel saw no evidence of that in their countless videos. The couple was bombarded with collective anger from the whole internet, considering that many people felt they put down an innocent animal all because of a slight inconvenience. The controversy led Nicki to a social media hiatus and a dwindling subscriber account as the incident completely tarnished their reputation. Number 4. The Prince family. Crowned by the internet as the world's worst YouTube family ever, there is now an active campaign aiming to have their videos removed from the platform. Apart from the over-the-top cringy antics that are somehow both inappropriate while still being aimed at children, they have been accused multiple times of rampant colorism. In 2019, the young mother found herself in a firestorm of social media backlash after she and her husband Damien posted a vlog of their daughter's birth. During the video, which received over 1 million views, the parents can be heard discussing Nova's physical features just moments after she was delivered, with Bianca saying, "She's going to have brown eyes for sure. I thought you were going to have pretty eyes." Bianca seemed visibly disappointed and made several comments about being taken aback that her daughter didn't seem to have pretty eyes because they are brown and not hazel like hers. She then begins asking about the baby's skin and whether or not she'll have a light or dark complexion. When the video blew up, fans criticized their reactions to their own child, and the Prince family capitalized on this drama by doing a follow-up video defending themselves with a clickbait title, all in an attempt to gain more traffic to their page. Number 3. Micah Stauffer. The mum of 5 used to be a mid-level YouTube and Instagram influencer, a mum of 5 whose parenting vlogs and Instagram posts had a loyal following and several high-profile sponsors. But the influencer and her husband James rocketed into mainstream in 2020 when an in-depth BuzzFeed news article exposed one of the biggest controversies in the family vlogging community. It revealed that Stauffers had rehomed their adopted son after they found out he had autism and other developmental issues. In 2017, the adoption of little Huxley from China was painstakingly documented on their channel, and it helped them build and monetize a channel with more than 700,000 followers, many of whom were outraged by the announcement. Eventually, caving to the pressure, Micah spoke out about the controversy and posted a 4-page notes app apology, saying that she was naive and undertrained when she adopted Huxley and was ultimately unprepared to handle the issues that he had. She said, "I wanted to help so bad. I was willing to bring home any child that needed me. For this, I was foolish, naive, and arrogant. I wish so bad I was more prepared and done more." Micah said that Huxley has been moved to a new forever family, which is a really nice way of saying that they unadopted him. Number 2. The Ace family. Arguably one of the biggest family vlog channels on YouTube with 18.8 million subscribers, the Ace family are notorious for frequently being embroiled in controversy after controversy, which has really affected their reputation on the platform. There was a time that they were caught staging a break into their home, and even got their young daughter to react to the fake scenario, and even had a police officer on the scene, or when they were caught lying about the state of their multi-million-dollar home. In October last year, creditors foreclosed their $10 million mansion after the couple amassed more than $8.7 million in debts. Not only that, but in June of 2018, Catherine and Austin were accused of scamming audiences to increase their subscriber numbers when they posted a video that they would give $100,000 to a subscriber of the Ace family who could complete a basketball challenge, and asked fans to respond if they wanted to be a part of it. Later that same month, they sent out a post saying that they selected 20 basketball players and YouTubers to complete, but they ended up giving the money to a close friend of theirs who also happened to be a wealthy basketball player. And get this, he was not even an official competitor to begin with. So it's no surprise that they've lost so much of their audience over the years, because most of the scandals that befall them are often a direct result of their own dishonesty. And coming in at number 1, Jordan Cheyenne. At the height of her success, Jordan's YouTube channel had over 500,000 subscribers, and she vlogged about her seemingly perfectly laid-back life in California, mostly about fitness and life as a single parent. She was extremely popular in the influencer community for her girl boss advice and her weight loss meal plans, until she posted the now viral video of her son crying about the death of their family dog, titled "We Are Heartbroken." But she made one terrible mistake and included an unedited clip of her coaching her son Christian to cry for the thumbnail. In the disturbing video, you can see that the child was already very upset and on the verge of tears, and he tells her that he was already crying and didn't need to pretend for the camera, but she felt that he didn't look sad enough and instructed him to make a certain face for the video. Jordan could be heard saying, "Act like you're crying," even after he said, "Mom, I'm actually crying." The backlash Jordan received after the clip went viral was nothing short of biblical. She then scrubbed her social media accounts and deleted her YouTube channel altogether, and has since tried to make a comeback with a fraction of the audience that she used to have. So clearly, she was not able to live it down. Well, that's all we have for today. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video.
Coming in at number 10 on our list is Mia Farrow. Mia Farrow is an actress who is extremely outspoken about her reaction to the ill-fated Oscars night. After it happened, she took to Twitter to post, quote, "It was just a joke. Jokes are what Chris Rock does. Always has been edgy. This was a mild joke for him, and I love G.I. Jane. What I saw was one of Hollywood's most powerful movie stars stalking onto a stage to strike a comedian for an unfortunate joke about his gorgeous wife's shaved head. Anyone who is okay with that has probably never been hit by a powerful man. As we advise our kids, use your words." A lot of people in the comments to her post were duking it out, with some people equating alopecia to cancer, and others saying that Will Smith should be jailed for slapping Chris. My favorite reply was someone linking another tweet saying, quote, "It's actually not funny at all. Will Smith could have killed him with that slap. What if his hand had been full of bees and Chris Rock was allergic to bees and one of the bees stung Chris and nobody had an EpiPen? Not funny now, is it?" Next up is Howard Stern, who had a whole show planned before he decided to scrap it all and focus on the Oscars incident instead. Quote, "Well, I had a whole show planned, but I gotta throw that out because I want to vent about this Oscars thing that occurred." The blunt reporter certainly held nothing back and did in fact vent quite readily about the whole situation. Quote, "This is a sign of great mental illness when you can't control your impulse. Not only that, it was hardly an insulting joke. It wasn't even a good joke." It may be safe to say that Howard Stern wasn't too fond of Will Smith after the headline made the incident. He even compared Will to former US President Donald Trump. He also criticized the Academy's handling of the situation, including the lack of security taking action. While there have been mixed reports on whether or not Will Smith was asked to leave the ceremony following the slap, the star still went onto stage to collect his award for Best Actor mere moments later. Howard Stern was upset that no one seemed to care and even cheered for him once he won the award. Quote, "Will Smith harmed another human being, and you guys did nothing." Another celebrity who will definitely never work with Will Smith is Judd Apatow. Probably the most embarrassing set of tweets to come out of the whole Oscars slap situation were Judd Apatow's, which are since deleted. Although he was one of the first people to call out Will Smith for his behavior, some think that he took it way too far. Judd wrote on Twitter, quote, "He could have killed him. That's pure out of control rage and aggression. After he received pushback for the tweet, the 40-year-old Virgin director elaborated his viewpoints on the SiriusXM pop culture spotlight. He admitted that he wasn't actually watching the Oscars when he took to Twitter, but was instead informed of the incident while on the phone with a friend. That being said, he did stick by his statements about Will Smith in other interviews. Quote, "As soon as that line is crossed, really anything can happen. That's what happened, but something else could have happened too." Judd also told Pop Culture Spotlight, quote, "I just think there certainly is a way of handling dissatisfaction. We should never tell people that the solution is to break that barrier and leap on the stage and commit an act of harm in front of people who are inspired by you." Coming in at number 7, Rosie O'Donnell. Not unlike Howard Stern's take, Rosie O'Donnell also had a problem with how the Academy Award organizers handled the situation. Clearly, Rosie was signing off to Team Chris Rock when she tweeted out, quote, "So upsetting on every level. Bravo to Chris Rock for not eviscerating Will Smith, which he could do any day of the week. He walked away. Bravo from a sad display of toxic masculinity from a narcissistic madman. If only they would take it into the ring, then we could truly see who is eviscerating who." In addition to making it clear that she believed Chris Rock could demolish Smith in, I guess, a battle of comedic minds, Rosie also heavily criticized the Academy for their initial response to the entire situation. In a separate tweet written in response to a statement released by the organization about not condoning violence, she asked, quote, "Then why did you do nothing?" O'Donnell didn't stop there. She also spent quite a bit of time retweeting messages from her friends and other Twitter users that all condemn Will Smith's actions and praise Chris Rock for not acting in retaliation. Kathy Griffin is up next as someone who likely won't work with Will Smith based on how she reacted to the Oscars, having very clearly sided with Chris Rock in this situation. She tweeted out, quote, "Let me tell you something. It's a very bad practice to walk up on stage and physically harm a comedian. Now we all have to worry about who wants to be the next Will Smith in comedy clubs and theaters." It is perhaps extremely unsurprising that Griffin, who herself loves to push the boundaries of comedy, would side with Chris Rock in this situation and be more concerned about the safety of comedians after seeing Chris Rock get slapped over a joke. Given her own controversies of inciting violence against former President Donald Trump that landed her in trouble with the Secret Service, we weren't surprised to see that she got some pushback from her tweets about being kind to one another. Next up is comedian Jim Carrey. It's unlikely any comedian in general will side with Will Smith considering the precedents it sets. But while touring for Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Jim Carrey was asked about his reaction to Will Smith getting on stage and hitting Chris. The comedian had this to say, quote, "I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just spineless en masse. And it really felt like this is a real clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore. I'd have announced this morning that I was suing Will for $200 million because that video is going to be there forever. It's going to be ubiquitous. That insult is going to last a very long time. If you want to yell from the audience or disapprove or show disapproval or say something on Twitter or whatever, you do not have the right to walk up on stage and smack somebody in the face because they said words." Next up is Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill. He has always been extremely outspoken on Twitter, and the Oscar slap incident was no exception. The night of the incident, he tweeted, quote, "Stand-up comics are very adept at handling hecklers. Physical harm, not so much." Okay, I abbreviated this because I'm not allowed to say a lot of words due to our feudal lords at YouTube, but you get the idea. The tweet left a heated debate in the comments, with one user writing, quote, "Chris Rock was wrong. Mocking Jada's medical condition, especially on stage in front of hundreds of people, is despicable. I don't blame Will for getting upset or for doing what he did." While another user wrote, quote, "You can't just harm people. Even if someone says something Part of being an adult is understanding that you can't just hit people. I like Will Smith and I have compassion for his wife, but he was wrong to hit Chris Rock." Coming in at number 3 is Janet Hubert. Janet Hubert has had beef with Will Smith that predates the Oscars, thank God, all the way back to the 90s when she worked alongside him in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. She played Aunt Viv for 3 seasons before their beef led to her being replaced in 1993. She told HuffPost decades later, quote, "My departure was planned for a long time. There will never be a reunion for The Fresh Prince. Will Smith and Alfonso destroyed a 20-year career with untruths. I got slammed." Will apologized later in an Essence magazine article, but it still lingers. It's still there. Apparently, the beef started when Smith refused to vouch for Hubert when she wanted a pay raise and a contract renegotiation. Meanwhile, tons of rumors circulated that she was notoriously extremely difficult to work with, which derailed her career and she never really recovered from it. That being said, they did have a tentative truce when Will invited her onto the Fresh Prince reunion that she earlier said would never happen. Although I doubt she'd go through filming anything with him again. Next up is Chris Rock's brother, Tony Rock. Absolutely no surprise that he comes to his sibling's defense. Airing his frustrations on a stand-up set a few days after the Oscar slap incident, Tony stated, quote, "If you think you're gonna walk up on this stage, this ain't the Oscars. And if you walk your ass up here, you ain't nominated for but these hands. As the crowd cheered, Tony took it a step further, adding, quote, "I didn't want to start the show like that. You're gonna hit my brother." Tony also made it clear on Twitter after Will Smith apologized to Chris that he does not accept the apology on his brother's behalf by stating, quote, "no," when asked if he forgave him. Last but certainly not least is Chris Rock, who was the recipient of the slap in question. Interestingly, he said absolutely nothing about the slap and has kept extremely quiet. He's currently on tour and has made zero mention of the incident, although I'm sure he could have gotten away with a few digs considering that most people took his side. But that being said, I doubt he'd be running to star alongside Will Smith in any comedy anytime soon.
Celebrities are known for their resumes and their success, but sometimes there's more to the story we don't always get to hear. Every celebrity has a backstory and not all of them are good. Today on Beyond the Screen, we are checking out some celebrities who come from toxic families. We're gonna learn a lot of shocking stories today. I'm your host for this one, Joss Bedard. Thanks for checking us out. Make sure you guys leave a like on this video because it really helps us out, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Starting off our list at number 10, we have Leighton Meester. This one is by far one of the craziest celebrity birth stories I have ever heard. In 1986, Leighton's mom was in prison after being arrested for smuggling illegal substances out of Jamaica. Turns out she was serving her time when she was pregnant with Leighton and still had 16 months left of her sentence, which means that Leighton was born in jail. She wasn't physically born inside a jail cell, her mother was actually transferred to the hospital for the birth. The now Hollywood actress spent the first few months of her life in a halfway house before eventually being placed in custody of her grandmother until her mom's release. After being back in the care of her parents, they got divorced and faced a ton of financial struggle. But despite all the negative things in her childhood, Leighton does not hold it against her parents. In all her interviews, she says that they are good parents and she has a lot of good childhood memories. Moving on to number 9, we have Eminem. The rapper has always been very open and honest about the dysfunctional childhood he had, which was filled with abuse and poverty. He describes his childhood as the scraping the bottom of the barrel kind of life after his parents didn't have a home and just dragged him around the Midwest, staying in different motels. His father, Bruce Mathers, deserted him and his mom when he was just a baby. As for his mom, Debbie Mathers, she was in and out of his life throughout the remainder of his childhood. She also had another son with another man, and at one point left Eminem with his great aunt and uncle who just did their best to raise him. But even when he was in the care of his mother, he says that she was very towards him. He eventually went through school but got bullied so bad physically that he was in a coma for a few days. That experience later turned into his 1999 song called Brain Damage, if you've ever wondered. When he was just 17 years old, he dropped out of school and went on to chase his dream of a rapper, and the rest is pretty much history. But you should watch 8 Mile if you don't know how that happened. Up next, number 8, we have Soon-Yi. Her life became one of the biggest controversies in 2020 after her relationship with her adoptive father became a lawsuit. She was born in South Korea around 1970 and actually has no birth certificate. Her approximate age was determined by bone scans. In 1976, she was found living on the streets, eating out of dumpsters before being adopted by Mia Farrow and Woody Allen, who had huge careers in Hollywood. Years down the road, when Soon-Yi was in high school, Mia found inappropriate nude photos of her in her husband's home. The truth was later revealed that the two of them actually had an ongoing romantic relationship with each other, and that continued on to present day. They are now married to each other despite being father and daughter through adoption papers. Soon-Yi is now 50 years old and Woody is 85. This strange relationship opened up a lot of other secrets in the family, with one of his other daughters claiming that he also did inappropriate things with her when she was a child. As of right now, the lawsuits he is facing are still unsettled. Sliding into number 7 is Drew Barrymore. You would never know the struggle she faced in her childhood based off her successful career and always beaming smile. But her childhood was so dark and twisted that she was put into an institution at just 13 years old. When she was just 11 months old, she first appeared in a commercial and then booked the role in E.T. at age 7. Her parents struggled with their own addiction problems, and Drew picked up the habits on her own at a very young age. She revealed that she started pouring liquor over her ice cream when she was just 7 years old, and got drunk for the first time at Rob Lowe's birthday party when she was just 9 years old, all under the guidance of her mother. She went out partying with her mother up to 5 times a week, and at age 12 began trying illegal substances. She was fighting a drug and alcohol addiction by the time she was 13 and had undergone rehabilitation treatment for 18 months. Her father left her and just stopped being a part of her life, and when she got out of treatment, she filed for emancipation from her mom, so she was living on her own at 14 years old. As she got older, she worked at a local cafe and just continued to pursue acting. In spot number 6, we have Lindsay Lohan. Her childhood was spent in front of the cameras as her family had close connections to the show business when her personal career started out. Fans have seen Lindsay's personal struggles in her adult life, like her DUIs and time in jail, but many have wondered if her childhood played a part in any of that. She did have struggles in her family. Her dad was married to her mom for 22 years but filed for divorce in 2007. He struggled with alcohol and substance addiction for many years, even appearing on Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew. His struggles were also legal issues. He served 3 years in prison from 1990 to 1993, another year in 1997, and 2.5 years in 2004. Her mom struggled too. She was also arrested and charged with a DUI of her own. In more recent times, Lindsay's dad was back in jail in April 2021 for new charges, and her mom was charged on May 4th, 2021 on felony drunk driving.
At number 5, we have Emma Roberts. Not too long after Emma was born, her father Eric Roberts abandoned her, leaving the star to grow up with her mother in Los Angeles. While Emma's parents would become enemies following their split, even Eric's sister Julia Roberts would be against his custody of Emma, and she would even help Emma's mother gain custody of the star. Years later, it would be revealed that Eric was struggling with substances, and that's why his sister didn't support him having Emma during the bitter battle. Despite following her father's footsteps, Emma isn't on best terms with her father, and rather being a father to his own child, he became a stepdad to Keaton and Morgan Simmons. Emma's mom took on the role of a mom and dad, so with her father being absent at most events and taking credit for her career, it only makes sense why the star chooses to hush her father out. At number 4, Angelina Jolie. Angelina Jolie's estrangement from her father, Papa John Voight, was finally finalized in 2002 when she legally dropped Voight from her last name. Angelina ultimately decided to petition her last name to be changed just a month before her father's interview with Access Hollywood. During the interview, he would go on to complain that she hadn't let him see his grandchild, and he pleaded for her to get help for specific mental problems. Angelina, who co-starred in the movie Tomb Raider with her father, would respond in the statement by saying, "I don't want to make public the reason for my bad relationship with my father. After all these years, I have determined that it's not healthy for me to be around my father, especially now that I'm responsible for my own child." And number 3, Tracy Morgan. Tracy Morgan hasn't seen his mom for 21 years. For years, Tracy's mom and sister have been bad-mouthing him to the media for refusing to help save his mother's home from foreclosure. Tracy became extremely saddened by the untrue stories, and he began to grow tired of people questioning his commitment to his family. In an interview with ABC News, Tracy went on to state that the reasons they aren't talking are between them, and that he hasn't seen his mother in 11 years outside of a random call here and there, and he's had little to no contact with his sister. Tracy was also helping his mother pay for the mortgage after she lost her job. However, after his mom and sister started talking to the media, Tracy would ultimately change his mind. And number 2, we have Frances Bean Cobain. Now, Frances Bean Cobain didn't officially cut off her mother, however, she did have a restraining order in place. Since Frances was a minor at the time, the allegations would remain sealed. However, that didn't stop tabloids from running story about what truly happened. The Daily Mail would claim that Frances took exception to Courtney Love's alleged substance use, and that they even cited some of Frances' testimony. Frances would say that her mom rarely ate, and she would often fall asleep with lit cigarettes in her mouth, and how she was afraid something bad would happen under the care of her mother. It was also then claimed that Courtney's actions led to the passing of 2 family pets, and this would leave her daughter to file for the restraining restraining order so that her grandmother and aunt could be temporary guardians so she could get away. And at number 1 today, we have Liv Tyler. Liv Tyler didn't even know Steven Tyler was her father until she was 11 years old. Until that point, she believed that Todd Rundgren was her biological father. While Todd always knew there was a chance he wasn't Liv's father, he signed the birth certificate and gave her his last name and stepped in to raise her as his own. When Liv met Steven when she was 8 years old at one of Todd's concerts, she fell madly in love with him and would even go on to buy posters and talk to them. While Todd knew her father's true identity, he decided to keep it a secret due to Steven's reported substance use. In 2009, Liv would say that in the past few years, we haven't been very close. He's also been going through some things on his own, and he hasn't been around that much for us. So that's been hard, but I probably shouldn't be talking about this. I wish he was around more to know Milo more, but he has to go through what he goes through. Well, that's it for this video, my little peaches. Until next time, remember to stay juicy.
Number 10. Germaphobe. While speaking to Jonathan Ross in a 2015 interview, Priscilla Presley revealed that her late ex-husband was terrified of germs and would take his phobia to the extreme. She claimed that he even refused to use anyone else's silverware, which even included the ones at high-end restaurants. She said that because of his secret germophobia, he never liked to go to other people's homes to eat because he would have to take his own silverware, and that would often cause quite an uncomfortable situation, as you could imagine. Quote, and he didn't like drinking out of cups that other people had drunk out of, even restaurants or other people's homes. So when he drank, he would drink where the handle was, knowing that no one would ever drink at that side. Although this information is not widely known, Priscilla says Elvis has been that way ever since he was a child. She believed that he just didn't like to put his mouth where other people had put their mouth, especially with cutlery and dishes, which is definitely something most people wouldn't have known about the star. Number 9. Liked younger women. In her book Elvis and Me, Priscilla Presley wrote that she just turned 14 when she met Elvis Presley, who was 24 years old at the time and already an international superstar. Despite the scandal, they started an intimate courtship that lasted 7 years before they eventually married in 1967. Now, the age difference is creepy on its own, but it becomes even creepier when you compare that to what Linda Thompson wrote in her own memoir. Thompson, who dated Elvis after his marriage to Priscilla ended, was also very young and inexperienced at the time. In fact, he allegedly told her, quote, I want to preserve you for as long as you need. Whatever he meant by that, it just sounds super icky. Elvis reportedly took advantage of his power to manipulate young, impressionable fans whenever he went on tour. Joel Williamson, who wrote a historical book about Elvis, claimed that 2 years before he met his future wife, the star took a group of 3 girls with him on tour for the purpose of, quote, pillow fights, tickling, and cuddling. Number 8. His vanity. Fame is a terrible drug that often pushes stars into the oddest methods of trying to stay thin and beautiful. Linda Thompson wrote in her memoir that Elvis's obsession with being slim would drive him to bizarre measures to keep the weight off, including an alleged 2-week period of sedation. That's exactly what it sounds like. Elvis mainly slept all day except for brief periods where he woke up long enough to go to the bathroom and eat a small portion of food before being sedated again and going back to sleep. She also claimed that he regularly did crash diets on just 500 calories a day. She also exposed his secret about why he constantly wore shirts with high collars. Apparently, he did it to conceal his neck, which he actually hated. She wrote that the whole reason he wore the trademark style was to keep his, quote, skinny little chicken neck hidden from the public. Then at age 40, Elvis allegedly opted for a facelift. Quote, there has been speculation through the years that Elvis has his eyes done or some other mystery procedure, but that mini facelift was the extent of his plastic surgery. Well, it seems like his ex-wife was really intent on revealing a side of him that was incredibly vain. Number 7. Pet chimpanzee. This one is really messed up. Billy Smith, who was a member of Elvis's entourage, openly talked about how scatter, Scooter, Elvis's pet chimpanzee, was essentially used as a party favor that they trained to harass women. It's said that the chimp would often look for women at parties and grab onto their clothes. According to Smith, Scatter also drank heavily. Quote, "He could down a fifth of liquor before you knew it." Smith remembered another time when Scatter was beaten by a woman at a party for misbehaving. There have been conflicting reports about what really happened to the chimp. Some state that he merely lost his life due to old age, but Smith speculated that Scatter was poisoned by one of the maids who was tasked with feeding him after he was abandoned by Elvis and the crew who were out on the road. Although it's unclear exactly how he passed, it appears as though Scatter took his last breath on his own after years of living the party lifestyle. The whole thing was really rather sad, as it seemed like Elvis and his friends used the chimp just to entertain themselves and discarded him when they went on tour. Number 6. Attacked his fiancée. After Linda Thompson, Elvis briefly dated Mindy Miller before becoming involved with Ginger Alden, who was a full 20 years younger than him. It was only 2 months into their relationship when Elvis proposed to her and she accepted. The couple planned to walk down the aisle just a few months before Elvis's untimely death, and Alden even said how excited he was about their wedding and their future together as a couple. She revealed to Express that during his final days, quote, "Elvis was looking forward to many things: marriage, more children, serious films, and his next tour. But Elvis was reportedly very manipulative when it came to women and could be extremely jealous and controlling. According to sources close to the star at the time, he could get very violent. His treatment of her was horrifying, and the pair constantly argued during their time together. After one particular fight, he allegedly asked someone in his entourage to pop the tires on Alden's car so she couldn't leave his home. And on another occasion, when she was driving away after an argument, Elvis reportedly aimed his weapon at her car and fired. Number 5. Allegations of racism. Last year, Quincy Jones revealed to The Hollywood Reporter that he always refused to work with Elvis because he was a racist. The musician, best known for producing Michael Jackson's albums Thriller, Off the Wall, and Bad, made the comments about Elvis's supposed history of racism in his new interview. The outlet asked Jones about Presley after the producer compared Jackson to the king of rock and roll. The 88-year-old musician and producer described a time when he was writing for the orchestra leader Tommy Dorsey in the 50s, and Elvis came in saying, quote, "I don't want to play with him." Jones went on to call Elvis a racist and added, quote, "But every time I saw Elvis, he was being coached by Otis Blackwell, telling him how to sing." And while there wasn't an overwhelming amount of accusations surrounding Elvis's past racism, there are certainly many allegations against the icon for appropriating black culture and repackaging it to the general public as his own. Despite this, it's obvious that American society still allowed him to have a very successful career, whether it was something the lead singer did consciously or subconsciously. Number 4. Hidden children. Even though he has been gone for many years, Elvis Presley has always been the center of several new scandals and controversies. One of the many that have hit the headlines in the last few years is that the king of rock and roll supposedly kept hidden children from the rest of the world. The National Enquirer actually conducted a 2-year investigation into the hidden children of the Presley family, reportedly acquiring witness testimonies, checking receipts, mail correspondence, birth certificates, and even DNA tests. The result of the investigation allegedly proves that Elvis did have several additional children that were being kept away from the spotlight of Hollywood. In fact, multiple alleged mothers of Elvis's hidden children have come forward to tell their stories about how they met the star, and the stories have some strange similarities. One example is Desiree Romaine Presley, who is the daughter of Lucy DeBarban, and she claims that her mother was in a 24-year-long relationship with Elvis and was being kept away from the media. But the crazy thing is that Desiree's father is listed as Randolph Presley on her birth certificate, someone who allegedly worked at the Air Force Base in Oklahoma City. Number 3. Addicted to medication. It's not unheard of for celebrities to turn to substances as a way to cope with fame and just how crazy their lives become in the spotlight. But Elvis's alleged addictions could have had a very different origin when you look at the tragedy of his mother's passing. In 1958, he was drafted into the US Army, but went to Germany but had to return to the US less than 6 months later because of his mother's untimely death. Many people believe that this marked the beginning of the end for Elvis, who quickly headed down a path of self-destruction. As soon as he returned to Germany, it's reported that Elvis partied heavily and would often get into fights. During this time, he also started taking illegal substances to try and deal with the grief of losing his mother. This probably snowballed, and it's assumed that from that moment on, the misuse of substances played a major role in his life. Linda Thompson wrote several examples in her memoir about these incidents and says that she often found Elvis passed out in a bowl of chicken noodle soup under the influence of sedatives. She even says that doctors tried to hospitalize him for 2 weeks after misusing a combination of medication for far too long. Number 2. Why Priscilla ended things. Because she was only 14 years old when their courtship began, it's really no surprise that she missed out on a huge chunk of her adolescence. She told Jonathan Ross in 2015, quote, "I was kind of lost, really, in who I was earlier in my life. I really didn't have teenage years." After their first child, Lisa Marie, was born, Priscilla accused Elvis of not wanting to sleep with her after she had given birth. Elvis told her that he wanted her to recover, but Priscilla later wrote in her memoir that he had mentioned before they were married that he had never been able to make love with a woman who'd had a child. In fact, throughout their marriage, Elvis continued to cheat on Priscilla with other women, and she herself had her own affair with an owner of a dance studio. It's safe to say that their marriage never really recovered. They finalized their divorce in 1973, and she said that this was because her life was his life, which meant her problems were always going to be secondary. Years later, she admitted that she did not divorce him because she didn't love him, but because she had to find out about the world. She was clearly just way too young when they started seeing each other. Number 1. Erratic violence. In recent years, Linda Thompson has been pretty open about her time with Elvis Presley, stating, quote, "We all knew how dangerous Elvis's rage could be. Apparently, when she first noticed Elvis could get pretty angry was when someone reportedly stole personal photos of one of his ex-girlfriends with another woman. She claimed that he then decided to show off his samurai sword collection while under the influence of illegal substances and left her fearing for her life. Although she said that he was true to his word and he didn't in fact hurt her, she was concerned because his talents were entirely impaired due to the narcotics. These were just some of the several times that his ex said that she worried about his boiling rage. Apparently, the musician even invested in a concealed carry permit to take the weapons on stage with him, including several that were actually stuffed into his shoes, just in case someone got a little bit too rowdy in the crowd. Even singer Tom Jones spoke about Elvis's love of weapons during a visit to his dressing room. Tom said that he noticed a loaded weapon just sat on the side and simply handed it to Elvis by wrapping it in a towel. Sounds a little crazy to me. Can you guess what the top 10 biggest family vlogging scandals are? Hey, I'm your host Bridget Shields, and let's get right into the video. Number 10. 8 Passengers. The Franks have nearly 2.5 million subscribers on their channel, which follows the lives of Kevin and Ruby and their 6 children. But the 8 Passengers found themselves in the middle of a tidal wave of rumors and accusations about their family in 2020, when Ruby posted a video featuring her then 15-year-old son Chad, who admitted something that would go on to be a particularly contentious issue for viewers. He casually explained that he lost his room after playing pranks on his little brother. Quote, "My bedroom was taken away for 7 months. I was sleeping on a beanbag since October." His admission sparked accusations of mistreatment, neglect, and even a visit from Child Protective Services. This led fans to take a deep dive into their past videos, and eventually found out that their then 6-year-old daughter Eve had gone to school one day without lunch, because it was her responsibility to make it in the morning, which she forgot to do. The situation only escalated further when other YouTubers caught wind of the drama and made their own videos criticizing Ruby and Frank for their parenting style, which is why the channel remains so controversial to this day. Number 9. The LeBrant family. Cole and Savannah LeBrant are a wholesome, blonde Christian couple with perfect highlights and over 6 million YouTube subscribers. But the internet's collective outrage against them really seemed to boil down to 2 separate incidents. In 2018, the couple came under fire for allegedly faking an evacuation during the California wildfires. They made a viral video called "A Giant Fire Makes Us Evacuate Our House," which garnered widespread sympathy from their fans, but only at first. When people did some digging, they found out that their location was not listed as an evacuation area for the fires, and their neighbors even came out saying the family's home was never in danger, and that the video was intentionally misleading, and said that they were exploiting a serious situation for views. But that wasn't all. In 2021, the LeBrant family posted a video with a thumbnail of their 2-year-old daughter Posey in hospital with the caption, "She got diagnosed with cancer." In the vlog, the couple said that they were worried that their daughter had leukemia because she would often wake up with pain in her legs. But halfway through the vlog, they revealed that she did not in fact have cancer, but called the whole thing a health scare. The video was slammed for its clickbait title, and the family has not been able to rid themselves of the controversy since. Number 8. Sam and Nia. This YouTube family has certainly been involved in their fair share of scandals. In 2015, Sam Rader admitted to reports that he had an account on Ashley Madison, the dating website for people seeking to have affairs. He posted a confession video saying, "I have sought forgiveness from God, and He has forgiven me, so I have been completely cleansed of this sin." But there was going to be a lot more trouble in Christian paradise. In 2018, the couple posted a viral video of Sam surprising his wife with her own pregnancy. He claimed that he just had a feeling that she might be pregnant and took it upon himself to test her unflushed urine from inside the toilet. The result was a viral video that quickly amassed millions of views. But then only a few days later, they posted an emotional video called "Our Baby Had a Heartbeat," claiming that Nia had suffered a miscarriage. But fans grew suspicious of the method that Sam used to administer the pregnancy test, and BuzzFeed News published an article with expert opinions revealing that it was not actually possible to get an accurate pregnancy test using diluted pee in a toilet bowl. Sam eventually admitted that the couple never confirmed their pregnancy with a doctor, and what ensued was a scandal so huge that their reputation has not recovered. Number 7. Daddy05. The family channel once capitalized on the trend of outrageous, shock value prank videos, with the parents Heather and Mike Martin filming the so-called pranks they pulled on their 5 children. They had a swarm of fans online who loved the wholesome, silly content, until the family took it too far. In 2017, the parents posted a video of them pranking 2 of their children by blaming them for spilling ink on the carpet, even though the parents actually planted the spill. Heather and Mike went way over the top and began screaming and swearing at the 2 young children. The video was shared thousands of times and received immense criticism online, with massive YouTubers like Philip DeFranco making videos exposing them. The whole thing prompted an investigation from Child Protective Services, who put the kids in emergency custody with their biological mother. The couple also faced child negligence charges when their videos were investigated and were sentenced to 5 years of supervised probation, which meant they were no longer allowed to film their children for views. Subsequently, their channel was deleted and their fan base vanished. They've since made numerous attempts to try and get back on the platform, but every time they make a new channel, YouTube is really quick to delete it. Number 6. Ryan's Toy Reviews. The channel, which is now called Ryan's World, is arguably one of the most popular family YouTube channels for kids. It has 3.3 million subscribers and now has more than 40 billion views, and has become the cornerstone of a shockingly lucrative kidfluencer empire. In 2019, Forbes named the now 10-year-old Ryan the highest earning YouTube streamer of any age for the 2nd year in a row. But while the success of the channel grew, so did its various controversies. But most notably, Shion and Luann Kaji have faced various accusations of misleading preschoolers into watching ads by not disclosing their sponsorship deals. In fact, the content at first glance is considered wholesome, kid-friendly fun, with little Ryan unboxing cool new toys, but has allegedly raked in its profits under something called deceptive native advertising, which relies on product placement that young children are not able to distinguish between commercial and genuine content, which is actually a violation of Federal Trade Commission law. Complaints were filed against the channel, accusing Cheyenne and Luann of deceptively promoting a multitude of products to millions of preschool-aged children, which really calls into question the ethics of creating that kind of content in the first place.
Halfway through our list, at number 5 is Dylan McDermott. You know those unsolved true crime murder mystery shows that everyone binge watches, and by everyone I mean me? Well, his life was actually one of them. When he was just 5 years old, someone took the life of his mother, who was just 20 years old at the time. The horrific crime was labeled accidental at the time, but still remained as an unsolved mystery for the next 4 decades of his life. His father was in jail at the time of the incident, so Dylan and his infant sister were sent to live with his grandmother before being adopted by his stepmom. Dylan wasn't an eyewitness to the crime, but he did hear shots being fired. In 2011, he took matters into his own hands to get the case reopened for investigation and confirmed that it was one of the suspects. Fingers pointed to her boyfriend at the time, who was known for being violent and addicted to substances. However, the suspect was deceased before being officially accused of the crime. Up next, number 4, we have Missy Elliott. Fans learned a lot about Missy during her feature on Behind the Music, but they never expected to hear about how much she suffered in her upbringing. She revealed disturbing details about how she was assaulted by one of her cousins for the course of a year, too young to really understand what was happening at the time. She also admitted that later down the road she had to experience extreme poverty, which is just a testament to how far she's come, having this wildly successful musical career. When it comes to her parents, she revealed that she had to witness some very terrible things growing up, as her father would her mother right in front of her. There was one specific incident she remembers from her childhood where her father had threatened to end her mother's life, and her uncle, who lived next door, actually had to come and step in and end the argument because it escalated and got very dangerous. So to say that she's come a long way would honestly be an understatement. Taking over our third spot is Kelsey Grammer. Fans of Frasier would never know the layers of trauma he went through in the early years of his life. His character Frasier Crane made people laugh for years, but he has a very dark past that many people don't know about. He has been open about his life experiences though, and opened up about the time when he was just 13 years old and he lost his father in front of his house. The life of his father was actually taken by a cab driver right in their front yard after luring him outside by lighting their family car on fire. Apparently there was no connection between the cab driver and his dad. That was just the start of his losses though. He actually lost his sister when her life was taken at just 20 years old. He says that the guilt of that tragedy nearly destroyed him. Then, just a few years later, his two half-brothers passed away in a scuba diving accident involving a potential shark attack. And then, not long after that, one of his best friends lost his life in the 9/11 attack. He has faced tremendous amount of loss in his life, which played a huge part in his alcohol addiction. Thankfully though, as years went on, he has been able to get sober, and eventually, he just left his pain in the past and was able to move forward. He lost everyone. Like, I can't even imagine his dad, his sister, his two brothers, a best friend. Moving on to number 2, we have Oprah Winfrey. Because she has spent her career smiling and helping other people through their own struggles, many people are shocked to know that she went through her own. She had anything but an ideal upbringing and began suffering from at a very young age. She suffered through this trauma by multiple relatives and turned to substances in order to cope with things. When she was just 14 years old, she was sent to live with her father and discovered that she was pregnant at 14. Sadly, the baby boy was born 2 months premature and did not make it past 2 weeks. Oprah has talked about how she felt very betrayed by a family member who sold the story of her son to the National Enquirer in 1990. But in more recent years, she has openly talked about her son and said that she finally gave him a name, which was Canaan, because it means new land, new life. We have made it to number 1, and we have Jim Carrey. This one always hits closer to home for me personally because the legendary actor actually grew up right here in Ontario, and to see how far he has come is honestly mind-blowing. He came from a good family, but things got difficult for them when his father lost his job when he was just 12 years old, and then Jim had to kind of step up and be like that father figure in a sense. Jim has talked about being homeless and how much they struggled to even get by. He revealed that their family lived in a van for a while, and they all had to work together as security guards and janitors just to try and make ends meet. The actor said he had to work a 40-hour work week while being a young teenager just to try and keep his family off the streets. One thing that helped him progress was that he started booking comedy gigs in Toronto at local comedy clubs to make some extra money. So to go from being homeless booking gigs at small venues to one of the biggest comedic actors in the world is pretty crazy and inspiring. I actually just found out he's from Ontario like 2 years ago. Alright guys, well that is our part 2 list. Before we get out of here though, let's lift the mood a little bit and do some comment shoutouts. Moki says, this channel is so good, the hosts are always so professional but funny at the same time. Wow, thanks. Honestly, I don't think I've ever been called professional. That has never been a compliment that has been given to me, but I appreciate it. Problematic says, photos of the crime scene were leaked online about 2 people had internet in 1994. Not true, I actually googled it, and internet's birthday was 1983, I believe. And by like being leaked online, I more so meant just like in the media, in the press. People heard about it, newspapers, this and that. It was a viral thing for the time. James Casina says, they actually aired the Madonna Britney Christina Kiss live. I watched it. Because it was a live show, yes it aired live, but they cut it out in all the reruns. Like when it aired after that, they didn't keep it in. But it was a live show, so of course they caught it live. That's why Madonna did it. Alright guys, that's all I got. I'm getting out of here. I was your host, Joss Bedard. I will see you next time. Bye. I think I was gonna start a sentence that she was born to, her parents were actors, but apparently I stopped. Yeah, I know. In 2011, she wrote, I'm gonna say it again, so memoir. Or memoir. It sounds weird when I say it. weird. Damn, what they doing out there? They're like working on the construction in the room next to ours. His father, okay. Burp, nope. Oh, heartburn. Burp, oh my God. Ow, okay. This is crazy. Just you wait, Chris. I'm gonna blow your mind right now.
Coming in number 10, The Secret Gift. When Elvis Presley passed away on August 16, 1977, the world was in shock. Elvis' daughter Lisa was in the next room when her father passed away. Just being 9 years old at the time, the future singer was perhaps more overwhelmed than anyone else. Knowing that she couldn't just send her father off in a coffin without something special from her, she decided to place a special gift inside his coffin. While thousands of fans queued up to pay their final respects to Elvis, just before the doors opened to the venue, Priscilla and Lisa Marie would be escorted to where her father was laying. While the king was styled to look his best, looking upon her father for the final time, Lisa Marie would make one special request. Funeral director Robert Kendall recalled that Lisa asked him if he could give her gift to her father. Robert recalls that she held up this thin metal bracelet and that he agreed once her and Priscilla ensured it would not fall into the wrong hands. With thousands of fans outside, they feared someone would see the loose bangle on Elvis's wrist and take it as a souvenir, so Priscilla and Robert placed it on Elvis's wrist and tucked it underneath his shirt cuff to ensure no one would be able to take this precious gift given to him by Lisa Marie. Number 9, The Empty Seat. Lisa Marie spent many of her days at Graceland as it was her home and heart of Elvis Presley, and she loved the mansion so much because it immortalized the rock and roll legend. Lisa made no secret of her love of the special property that she was reared in and still called home. The late star was lent on the mountain of memories from her childhood to keep the Presley family traditions alive, and that's why she still visited the luxury property regularly to do things Elvis and her used to do. After being open to the public in 1982 and becoming the second most visited private house in America, it became hard for so many to believe that the inner workings of the house still functioned, but Lisa Marie ran a tight ship after inheriting her father's estate. While the kitchen appliances were said to still work, they would be turned off for fire safety, and when Lisa Marie and her family were there, the staff would fire them up so the family could have dinner in the mansion. When the tours wrapped up, Lisa Marie and her loved ones could clamor around the huge dining table for family dinners, and they would occasionally leave an empty seat on the end in honor of Elvis. It was almost like she hoped her dad would walk in through the doors and take a seat at the table. But Lisa Marie's favorite excuse to get together was the Thanksgiving holiday, so she could be with her nearest and dearest father. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming in at number 8, we have the upstairs room. For millions of fans who flock each year to Elvis Presley's Graceland estate, the home has become a place where they can truly get close to the king of rock and roll. However, Graceland was also a private home for Lisa Marie and her extended family. This is why the upstairs rooms remained off limits to tours of the house, which began in 1983. Lisa Marie will also admit that the upstairs rooms has this creepy shrine to a bygone era when her father was still alive. While all the rooms remained the same as Elvis had left them, Lisa would show off the upstairs rooms, including Graceland's secret room that holds a treasure trove of items. And the location of this exact room still remains a secret to the public. Behind the door that's marked employees only lies a room that no Graceland guest can visit. While the room is so secret, when Oprah's camera crew was allowed to tour the estate, they would have to turn off the camera until they were inside so no one would know the exact location. Inside the room lies treasures that have never been seen by the public. The room was made to be earthquake-proof, fire-proof, and tornado-proof. Items in the room include checks signed by the king of rock and roll, a majority of Elvis's costumes, and cabinets that housed over 60,000 photographs. Number Number 7. Struggles. Nearly 5 months after her passing, Lisa Marie Presley shared an essay she wrote about navigating grief following the heartbreaking passing of her son, Benjamin. Sources close to the star would exclusively tell the US Sun that the musician was leading a reclusive life and was struggling in the wake of her son's passing. Lisa struggled to find respite from the pain of losing Benjamin, and she found it really difficult to cope with, and this is why she barely left the house for months after his passing. While Lisa Marie looked for various ways to help her manage her feelings of grief and loss, she even started to go in and out of the Church of Scientology for many years as she was trying to find herself a new purpose. In spite of this, those close to her had concerns, and one insider even confessed that Lisa had been struggling so much over the years and living in her dad's shadow. Many who knew her feared that she would pass away at a young age. Lisa is said to have had a lot on her plate in the years and months ahead of her passing, and she was struggling personally with her family relationships and handling her exes. Number 6. Isolation. Due to Lisa Marie's personal struggles, she spent her final days on trying trek between Los Angeles and Graceland. A source close to the family echoed that by saying Presley, who lived most of her life in the limelight, had been living a reclusive life and had especially struggled since her 27-year-old son Benjamin passed away in 2020. In Lisa Marie's final years, she was racked with grief over Ben, as he was her baby and he relied on her so heavily. So after she found out that he had passed away, her whole world completely fell apart and she found it really difficult to cope with, so she spent most of her days in isolation. Despite her personal struggles, Lisa Marie always tried to keep in good spirits, at least when she did venture into the public. And her final speech at Graceland would prompt fans to erupt in applause. While Lisa would also address her grief in an essay for People, she would say, "Grief does not stop or go away in any sense, a year or years after the loss. Grief is something you have to carry with you for the rest of your life, in spite of what certain people or culture wants us to believe." Lisa was struggling and never wanted to admit it, but her heart had been shattered since losing her son, and the grief took a huge toll on her. Number 5. Priscilla Presley. Lisa Marie had mended her relationship with her mom Priscilla Presley after her son's devastating passing despite years of prior estrangement. It's said that Lisa Marie had a really rocky relationship with Priscilla due to her troubles and breakdown of her marriage to Michael Lockwood, but they became close again after Ben's passing, and Priscilla supported her as much as she could. During Lisa Marie's divorce with Lockwood, Priscilla chose to stand by him, which caused a lot of friction between the mother and daughter duo. During this time, Priscilla was only able to find comfort from her friends as the relationship between her and Lisa fell apart and she was at loss over what to do at the time. While Lisa filed for divorce in 2016 and claimed she found images of younger people on Michael's computer during the divorce after losing her husband and mother, Lisa would turn to substances to numb the pain. While Michael denied the allegations, it would lead to a messy court and custody battle, and while Lisa needed her mom the most, she knew that her mom was on her ex-husband's side and that she couldn't turn to her for help. With only Lisa knowing what was truly on that computer, she never really detailed the things she actually found on that computer to the public. Number 4. The alarming red carpet appearance. Extra host Billy Bush did the final Golden Globes red carpet review of Lisa Marie Presley and immediately realized that something was amiss. Just 2 days before her passing, Lisa Marie would walk the red carpet at the Golden Globes. She attended to support the Elvis biopic of her father. Since Bush has recalled his brief red carpet talk with an ashen and unsteady Lisa Marie by saying she was very uneven in her balance. The speech was very slow, and definitely when the interview was over, I turned to my producer next to me and said, "Something's off here." She was certainly with it, just a second slow, but she was there. She was definitely there, just a tad off in some way. For the interview, stars had to navigate 2 steps to the platform where he stood, but Presley was struggling to do so, so Bush went down and met the star on the red carpet itself. Also, there's been videos at the event that show her walking unsteadily and being escorted by her manager, who grabbed her arm to give her support. It's clear that something was going on with the star and she didn't want to talk about it. Number 3. The safe place. Much has been said about the secrets that lie within Elvis Presley's Graceland bedroom. The private sanctuary has remained remained off limits to the public since his passing. However, during an interview in 2013, Lisa Marie spilled secrets about the room, and she would say Elvis Presley's bedroom was one of the places she would feel the safest. It said that Lisa would always keep a key for the upstairs with her and go up there, and up there was just Elvis in her bedroom. While the rooms are said to be a sanctuary, she always felt like she could shut the door and feel the safest and calmest. This is why she kept the area the same as Elvis has left it. The area still having a lot of Elvis's flair for the flamboyant and reflected the decorating taste of the 1970s. The king of rock and roll, only child admitted, "Oh, it's showy. It's got a long shag carpet, a black bed, and red walls, gold, everything here and there." Number 2, the friendship with the Duchess of York. Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, penned a touching tribute to Lisa Marie Presley after the singer passed away on Thursday, revealing their surprising friendship. Sarah would say, "I say hello to you every day, and I love you, my sissy, and I will continue to say hello to you every day. You were my sissy, an amazing mother to Ben, Riley, Harper, and Finley, and a superbly loving daughter to Priscilla. You have been my devoted friend for many years, and I am here for your family to support and love them. I am deeply saddened, my sissy. You are in my heart." A close friend to Prince Andrew's ex-wife told Page Six that the two women originally met when Lisa was living in Sussex, England with her ex-husband Michael Lockwood back in 2010. Apparently they hit it off straight away, and that they just seemed to understand each other. Over the years, the pair became quite close and kept in touch when Lisa moved back to the States. Lisa was always really supportive of the Duchess and when she was going through tough times, and Lisa even offered her refuge in Hawaii to weather out the storm. The Duchess was never able to forget that, and Lisa even went out of her way to support her friend, and that the two actually really bonded as sisters. And coming at number 1 today, we have The Secret Job. Although Lisa was a singer and songwriter that spent most of her life in her home country of America, the daughter of Elvis also called Sussex home for a while. While she also laddered herself a very different type of job when compared to her usual career, as she was actually working in a fish and chip van in the village despite owning a 15th century grade 2 listed country mansion. It appears that Lisa wanted to get stuck in with the village life and thought the best way she could do that was to serve the locals. The van was apparently owned by local pub owners Kim and Justin Scales, and it was a job that Lisa reportedly loved doing. Back in 2012, Kim would say that the singer could not wait to don an apron and serve people, and she found it really amusing when people did not know it was her. Although being the daughter of one of the most iconic singers in the world, Lisa wanted to be fully integrated in the life in Sussex Village, and she really enjoyed her shift. Everyone argues with their parents, and it's just part of growing up. However, for some people, these arguments can turn into feuds that can lead to estrangement. With celebrities, they can find themselves in some pretty painful situations when their families begin to betray their trust and sell their stories to the press. Hi, I'm Stacey Taylor, and today I'm breaking down the top 10 celebrities that cut off their parents from their lives, part 2. At number 10, we have Miley Cyrus. In the wake of her parents' bitter divorce, Miley Cyrus has completely shut out her dad. After Miley's mom Tish filed for papers back in April to end the 20-year marriage to Billy Ray Cyrus, a bitter family feud would explode and it would be displayed among the tabloids. And with it, Miley would finally cut off old ties she had with her father. Miley is simply done with her father, and it has even been said that she's always felt like her father was trying to cash in on her fame, dating back to the days when she played Hannah Montana. Miley believes the only one who ever truly looked out for her was her own mother, and that this huge rift may never heal. To add more fuel to the fire, Billy Ray Cyrus is apparently now engaged to singer Fire Rose, who he met while he was working on the set of Hannah Montana. Now, Miley definitely knows something none of us know, and it's leading to her resentment of her father. Many of Miley's friends have described the star of being incredibly stressed and feared that the wild child might just fall off her wagon again, as the family being in tatters could trigger another spiral. At number 9, we have Eminem. Eminem's boundless rage at his mother mirrors the invasiveness of her maternal love. Now, Eminem and his mother have been estranged for years, following the use of substances, accusations, and lawsuits. When Debbie became pregnant with Eminem at the age of 18, the rapper's father would abandon him right after he was born. Since leaving home, the rapper has gone on to slam his mother in songs for her lifestyle and how she raised him in not so good conditions. Debbie would eventually sue Eminem $10 million, claiming he was slandering her on the Slim Shady LP. Eminem's lawyers would then come out to say that Eminem's life is reflected in his music and everything he has said can be verified as true. Debbie has then gone on to deny the claims, however. The two have since stayed estranged, and there's no hope for these two to reconcile anytime soon. Hey Peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. At number 8, we have Macaulay Culkin. Macaulay Culkin has discussed his childhood growing up and his relationship with his father, and it's heartbreaking to hear. When the former child star sat down with Mark Maron on an episode of his WTF podcast, Macaulay would go on to discuss the relationship he has with his estranged father, Kit. He would say that his relationship was physically and mentally draining, and because his father was his manager when he was younger, he would have to travel with his son to auditions and film sets. Despite the pair working relationship, they were never close. Macaulay would then say he goes all around the world locked in a room with a man who didn't like him. Macaulay's father even went as far to scare him into not using cue cards on SNL, and Kit also tried to use his power as his son's manager to gain creative control over his son's films, which would soon prompt Macaulay to depart from acting at the age of 14. Macaulay also had to erase both his parents off of his bank account just so they would stop eating away at his giant fortune that he earned as a child actor. So it's no wonder why he cut his dad off. At number 7, Drew Barrymore. At the age of 7, Drew Barrymore would become a household name thanks to her role in the film E.T. With Drew's mother never being prepared to be a parent, when raising her daughter, she didn't always make the right decisions. After Drew's parents got divorced, her mother would take her to Studio 54, where she would be introduced to illegal substances and encouraged to dance with young famous men. By the age of 8, Drew would start to consider herself as a party girl, and she was trying to keep up with her mother's lifestyle. By the age of 12, Drew would go through a stint of rehabilitation, and her mother would go on to lose the credibility as a parent. By the time Drew turned 14, she would be emancipated from her mother, and by divorcing her mother, she would continue to live independently before she turned 16. The star then went on to self-educate herself and later became the actor and woman that most look up to today. Drew has always felt guilty, and she's had empathy and utter sensitivity towards her mother, but realized that the two can't be in each other's lives at this point. At number 6, Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan's relationship with her father Michael is rocky at best, and the two often go years without speaking to each other. Lindsay's rocky relationship with her father dates all the way back to when the actor was a child, when Michael began to struggle with substances. Lindsay has once even said that her father put herself and her family through hell following a stint of verbal altercations. In 2012, Lindsay would call her father following an argument with her mom, and her dad would later sell this phone call to the press, which would result in Lindsay to fully cut off her dad by 2016 after she became so fed up with her father spreading rumors about her in the tabloids. I mean, considering her father also posted her number online for everybody to see, I don't blame this star's decision to keep her father out of her life from time to time.
Halfway through our list at number 5 is Brandon Thomas Lee. At first thought, it might be pretty cool to have your parents be Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee, but apparently it wasn't all glitz and glam like some of us might have thought. Brandon and his brother Dylan have talked about growing up in a very difficult childhood life. For one, having their mom as the biggest sex symbol in the world was a struggle, as we can imagine. But Brandon revealed that things between his parents were very toxic. The two of them got into physical altercations, and the kids were always in childcare, not being raised by the parents full time. Pamela ended up sending Brandon and Dylan to a boarding school in Canada, so they were separated for a while. As the boys grew older, they did find their way back to mend things with their mom, but in 2018, when Brandon was 24, he got into a physical altercation with his dad and actually knocked him out. Fans see Brandon talk about his relationship with his parents on The Hills, as he was added as a new cast member in the reboot series. Cruising into spot number 4 is Meatloaf. The singer has revealed a lot about his troublesome childhood during interviews and says there are so many things that he has blocked out as a way to cope with it all. He revealed his dad was an alcoholic who would disappear for a few days at a time and said he was physically towards him. As for his mom, she was sick with breast cancer for so long that he didn't have a normal relationship with her, and she sadly passed away when he was just 18. He admitted that it took him 10 years to deal with her death because he had actually run away to California to hide from the pain, and her last words to him were, "Where were you?" The struggle still stays with him to this day, but he says he's blacked out most of his childhood memories, but admits that a psychologist would probably help him deal with it better. Taking over our third spot spot is Ariel Winter. The actress shared her personal life with the world in recent years, revealing that she missed out on a normal childhood after living in isolation with her mom for 14 years. She grew up in the spotlight after landing a lead role on the TV series Modern Family, and admitted that she had a lonely, intense childhood due to her relationship with her now estranged mother. She explained their strained relationship and said that growing up, it was just the two of them, and Ariel wasn't allowed to have connections with other people. She also said her mom emotionally and physically abused her when she was very young. At 14 years old, she emancipated herself from her mom and moved in with her sister Chanel Gray until she was 18. Once she moved out away from her mom, she was able to reconnect with her dad and said that they grew incredibly close, calling him today a great friend and a good person. Rolling into the number 2 spot, we have Britney Spears. Her tense relationship with her father has made worldwide news after people found out that he had total control over her life and finances legally and refused to give them back to her. Her father, Jamie Spears, was put under her conservatorship following her public breakdown in 2008 after she was proven to not properly be able to care or manage herself during her mental health struggles. That was over a decade ago though, and people cannot understand how he still has access since she seemed to turn her life back around. Britney has been asking the judge to permanently remove him from her conservatorship, revealing that the two of them have never had a good relationship and that he is not doing it with her best interests in mind. The hashtag Free Britney started in 2020 as the world is now petitioning for her to get the rights back to her conservatorship, which is actually split into 2 parts. One for her estate and financial affairs, and the other for her as a person. Her father still has control of both. We've made it to number 1, and we have Charlize Theron. Not many people know about her traumatic childhood, but she shared it with the world and left people completely shocked. She grew up in a farm in South Africa, and at age 13 she wanted to continue her ballet studies, so she began attending a boarding school that specializes in the arts. During a visit home when she was just 15 years old, her mother shot and took the life of her father in an act of self-defense. Turns out he was drunk and began shooting at her and then threatened to harm the children as well, so she started to shoot back. Charlize says she survived the incident, which she's very proud of, and also thanks her mom for quite literally saving her life. Alright guys, that's our crazy list for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and leave a like, but before I get out of here, I'm going to do some comment shoutouts. Carrie LaFollette says, I love this YouTube channel. I am so flattered and I'm so glad to hear it. Thanks. Janice Murphy says, are you aware you are a celebrity too and whatnot? Janice, that is so incredibly sweet, but if you actually knew that I was quite literally a nobody, you would retract that statement. But I appreciate it. Rocket Halsey says, always clickbaiting. Welcome to YouTube, my friend. On that note, I'm getting out of here. I was your host, Jas Bedard. I will see you next time. Bye. I don't like it. It's sweaty in here and itchy. I don't like. Ready? Am I? That's the question. We're gonna learn a lot of shocking stories today. I said shocking. Okay. Can you imagine? You were born in hell. That's crazy. Anyways, I don't have time to talk, so that is the most, anyways, I don't even have time to rant on that. But, whoa. But admits that a psychologist, that's not a word. This just makes me feel so grateful for my own life. I'm about to get on the streets and petition for Britney. If it ever comes down to it, I'm out there.
Coming in number 10, we have her rocky relationship with Lisa Marie Presley. While the world has begun reeling in the aftermath of Lisa Marie Presley's tragic passing, many have begun to ask questions about her family life. In particular, it seems like people are increasingly curious about what her relationship with Priscilla Presley was like. While the two were thick as thieves before Lisa's passing, the two faced their fair share of ups and downs. It's said that Lisa Marie had a very rocky relationship with Priscilla due to her troubles and breakdown of her relationship relationship with Michael Lockwood. The pair was sadly only able to repair their relationship after Lisa Marie's son passed away on July 12, 2020. But before, it seems like Lisa Marie's estrangement to her mother would come when she decided to divorce Michael Lockwood, and her mother, Priscilla, actually chose to stand by him even after Lisa Marie claimed to have found illegal videos and photos of on Michael Lockwood's computer. While sources say Priscilla had to be comforted by her friends as her relationship between her and Lisa fell apart, this is when she felt lost over what to do at the time. But she would have never had a rocky relationship with Lisa if she just chose to stand by her daughter like a mother should always do. Number 9. Her love for Elvis Presley. When Elvis Presley broke up with his wife Priscilla Presley in 1973, the couple remained really close until his passing, and later Priscilla Presley would admit that she never stopped loving him even after he passed away unexpectedly just years after their divorce. And even his passing made her realize that she didn't want to live in a world without him. It's even been said that after their divorce, the pair actually walked out of the courthouse holding hands. Priscilla and Elvis would split after his substance abuse and affairs got way too out of hand, but their relationship kept intact, and they still spoke to one another frequently. To this day, Priscilla's love for Elvis is so strong that she can't even be in the same room as Elvis impersonators when they are dressed up as the star, as it's too hard for her. Back in 2014, when Priscilla Presley was set to attend Elvis Festival in Collingwood, Ontario, she agreed to do the event, but there was one huge rule for the festival that they would have to follow in order to have her attend, and this rule would be that Elvis impersonators couldn't be in the same room as her. However, when one did come into the event not dressed up as Elvis, as he was following the rules, Priscilla would be left feeling very emotional as he reminded her of Elvis, and she would even praise the festival for keeping Elvis's story alive. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 8. Her life at 14. Elvis and Priscilla's relationship was much darker than what even some of the biggest fans may have realized. Even those who already casually knew that Priscilla was quite young when she met Elvis may still don't know what the pair's relationship was like when they began their courtship. Priscilla was only 14 years old and Elvis was 24, and the details of their courtship may not be front of mind. Written in Priscilla Presley's own words for People in 1985, the specific story on how the king of rock and roll met and wooed his only wife may be hard for some fans to stomach. Priscilla and Elvis met back in 1959 when her family settled in a small town in Germany, and Priscilla was invited to a party by a family friend. It would be at this party she would meet Elvis and tell him that she was in the 9th grade. It would be at this moment that he would tell her she was just a baby. However, a few nights later, he would tell Priscilla that he wanted to be alone with her and asked her to come to his bedroom. While the two would spend the night together, they would end up seeing each other for months, and they would continue to spend every night together, which proved to be too much for the student as her grades would start to slip. While Priscilla claimed that they never made love, her parents became very confused and bewildered about her relationship with Elvis, and it took a lot for them to prove that it was proper and platonic. At number 7, experimenting with substances. After Priscilla met Elvis when he was stationed in Germany on military service, she described how they had a very passionate relationship, so when he was discharged and set to return home, Priscilla did everything she could to persuade her parents to let her go to America. Her parents would then only agree when she agreed that she would live in a separate property and go to school. While Priscilla did go to school, she spent all of her free time day and night at Graceland. In a powerful interview with Barbara Walters in 1985, Priscilla would recall the intense and strange world she lived in with Elvis as a young teenager. Priscilla would stay up late every night, and every morning Priscilla would get up for high school, and then when she arrived home in the afternoon, she would crawl back in bed with Elvis. Eventually, after Priscilla's grades started to slip, she had to start taking sleeping medication to help her sleep. Priscilla felt like she had to make things work with Elvis because she was scared that if she didn't do it, another woman would, and she wanted to be the one. She would even bring up a horrifying moment when Elvis gave her 2 strong medications to help her sleep, and that even when she was unconscious, Elvis didn't call a doctor because he didn't realize that she's never taken them before and gave her too much of a strong dose, even after she was passed out for 2 days. As Elvis's behavior became more extreme, the couple would spend days in bed. Number 6, homewrecker. Since Elvis was 24 years old and a famous worldwide performer, it's probably not too much of a surprise that Elvis was in a relationship with someone else when he met Priscilla. Before there was Priscilla, Elvis was actually dating actress Anita Wood, who he began dating in 1957, and the relationship was actually pretty serious. When Anita did an interview with the Daily Express, she would say he swore he loved me, how we would get married, how there was no one else, how I need to stay true to him and remain and wait for him, how he was afraid I would not. Anita would also say that she wasn't allowed to visit Elvis while he was in Germany, and that the two were still together when Elvis returned to the United States in 1960. By then, Anita already started to hear the rumors about Priscilla, and that Elvis was constantly telling her that it was nothing to be worried about. Anita would then eventually confront Elvis about the nature of his relationship with Priscilla, and the singer asked her to keep Priscilla a secret because he believed he would get in a lot of trouble over his relationship with the young girl. While Anita would go on to date Presley for 2 more years, he would have Priscilla flown out to the States and he would begin dating both women. When Anita found out that Elvis was having a hard time making up his mind about the two women, Anita would overhear the conversation Elvis was having with his father, and she would make the decision to leave the star. Number 5. Living Doll. When Elvis Presley started dating Priscilla Presley when she was just 14 years old, as the relationship started to grow, the king of rock and roll would start to dictate how she had to dress and told her that she didn't need an education. While Priscilla did everything she could to be with Elvis, she felt like she was his living doll while she was living with him in Graceland, away from her family. While Priscilla went on to lose her identity throughout the relationship with Elvis, she would also lose her individuality. Later in life, Priscilla would call herself Elvis's doll, his own living doll to fashion as he pleased. In an interview with Express, she would also state that Elvis frowned upon chip nail polish and patterned dresses, and he insisted that Priscilla would look better with long hair and that she needed to apply more makeup around the eyes to make them stand out, as her eyes were too plain naturally, and that he liked a lot of makeup as it defined her features. Elvis would also go on to teach her how to walk, how to dress, how to apply makeup, wear her hair, how to behave, and how to return his love in his way. Number 4. Strict mother. Before Lisa Marie Presley passed away, she would admit that as a parent, her father, Elvis Presley, was a lot of fun. However, she has also spoken out about the worries concerning her famous father. Mainly that as a child, she felt like she needed to protect him and keep him safe. Priscilla Presley previously has also admitted that when it came to parenting, Lisa Marie, she was often put in the role of being the one who had to set the rules. While Priscilla sat down with an interview with The Guardian, she would say, "I was the disciplinarian, and there were times Lisa didn't like it, but you can't live life without boundaries. I was very subtle and very calm, and she knows this now." Priscilla would also add in the interview that Lisa Marie was only 4 years old when her parents divorced, so she would have to work hard to ensure that her daughter understood that everyone could still get along. Number 3. The affair. It's clear that Elvis and Priscilla's marriage wasn't all glitter and gold. While it's said that Elvis had multiple affairs that put a major strain on his relationship with Priscilla behind the scenes, Priscilla also had an affair when she was still married to Elvis. While the age difference and controlling nature of their relationship took a toll on Priscilla, ultimately she decided that she needed an outlet, as there were times she didn't even feel like she was a person because Elvis was always the concerned person, as he came first and no one cared about her feelings, or what she was going through. Ultimately, Priscilla eventually started to seek out the company of another man during her 10-year marriage. In the book Elvis and Me, Priscilla would allege that her ex-husband had affairs during their marriage. Despite that, Elvis reportedly became incredibly angry when he discovered that Priscilla had an affair of her own. She would also go on to say that she was dating fitness instructor Mike Stone when she was still married to Elvis, and added that her husband had a big reaction when he found out. It would later be revealed that Elvis was so angry he even tried to get his entourage to hire a hitman to get Mike. Number 2. Stole custody of Lisa Marie Presley's kids. Priscilla Presley's daughter Lisa Marie Presley was a mom to 4 children, Benjamin, Riley, and twins Finley and Harper. When Lisa Marie ended up locked in an incredibly difficult custody battle with her ex-husband Michael Lockwood for quite some time, they said that Priscilla even had custody of Lisa's twins Finley and Harper as the custody battle dragged on. In 2017, Priscilla would reveal on ABC News that the twins had been living with her for some time, and she would go on to say it's still very family oriented environment for them. It's been over 9 months. They're great. They're doing wonderful. They're living a great life. They see both parents, and we'll see what happens. At the time, the California Department of Children and Family Services was involved in the care of the twins, and the move came after Lisa Marie filed claims of sexual misconduct against Michael Lockwood. And coming in number 1 today, we have Saved Elvis's Fortune. Just after Elvis Presley unexpectedly passed away in 1977, his net worth was a surprising $5 million, which is much lower than most people would expect and much lower than what he earned in his lifetime. With his estate being left to his daughter, grandmother, and father after the passing of Elvis's father and grandmother, Lisa Marie Presley was left as the sole beneficiary of Elvis's estate. Priscilla then served as the executor of Elvis's estate until Lisa Marie's 25th birthday. During this time, she devised a plan to rebuild the late singer's fortune, giving her daughter an extremely comfortable lifestyle and future. While some pressed Priscilla to sell Graceland for liquidation purposes, she opted to turn the home into a tourist attraction with the help of Jack Soden. She also worked to buy the surrounding properties around Graceland, making sure they became stores that sold Elvis's merchandise, and eventually rebuilt Elvis's estate into a massive fortune.
Becoming a star in Hollywood can be tough. You never know who you can really trust. Thankfully, a lot of celebrities have fantastic families that they know have their best interest at heart. But sadly, some don't, and some celebrities distance from their families after finding out their families use them for the wrong reasons. In at number 10, Britney Spears. Considering everything that's happened in the last few years, it's clear that Britney Spears wants nothing to do with her family. In fact, she hopes they end up in prison for what they've done to her. The public learned that Britney had been in a 13-year conservatorship last year when the Free Britney movement gained traction. Then when she was in court speaking about it, she told the judge, quote, "Ma'am, my dad and anyone involved in this conservatorship and my agent, who played huge roles in punishing me when I said no to going on tour, ma'am, they should be in jail." Britney also called out people in her life, we assume her sister Jamie Lynn, for not being there when she needed it. She wrote in one Instagram post, quote, "There's nothing worse than when the people closest to you who never stood up for you post things in regard to your situation, whatever it might be, and speak righteously for support." Britney and Jamie Lynn have been publicly feuding online for the past few days, and it's clear that once this conservatorship is over, she wants payback. And at number 9, Ariel Winter. The Modern Family star shocked the world when she fought to become emancipated from her mother at the age of 15. Years before, in 2012, Winter filed a restraining order against her mother, Crystal Workman, accusing her of being physically and verbally harmful. In May of 2015, Winter became emancipated and celebrated on Twitter, saying, quote, "I'm now officially emancipated. I'm really lucky I have an amazing support system and lovely people in my life who have given me the support and guidance to have been given this wonderful opportunity." In the court battle, it was revealed that her mother's interference in the show almost got her fired from Modern Family several times. There were even stories that her mother would withhold food from Ariel until she got her way, which would prompt her co-stars to sneak her meals behind her mother's back. Their relationship does not seem to be mended, and it's clear Ariel wants nothing to do with her mother. And at number 8, Jennifer Aniston. Jennifer Aniston has revealed that she grew up with an emotionally toxic mother who always made her feel inferior. Her mother named Nancy Dow and Jen never really got along, and there were years where they did not speak. Jen revealed that her mother had a very hot temper, which Jen could not handle. Her mother would scream hysterically and Jen would have to sit there and take it. Once Jen screamed back and her mother actually laughed at her. She recalled the moment, saying, quote, "One time I raised my voice to my mother and I screamed at her and she looked at me and burst out laughing. She was laughing at me for screaming back, and it was like a punch in my stomach." Apparently Jen's mother was also extremely critical and made her feel like she was not as beautiful as her mother. Jen still struggles with confidence issues because of it, and revealed, quote, "She was gorgeous, stunning, I wasn't. I never was. I honestly still don't think of myself in that sort of light, which is fine." She was also very unforgiving. She would hold grudges that I just found so petty. And at number 7, Oliver Hudson and Kate Hudson. This brother and sister duo, children of Goldie Hawn and Bill Hudson, absolutely hate their estranged father, and they've publicly shared this fact multiple times with the world. On Father's Day in 2015, Oliver shared a photo with Kate and their father, along with the caption, quote, "Happy Abandonment Day." A clear dig at their father, who had not been in the children's lives since their divorce. Oliver and Kate have said that they consider Hawn's longtime partner Kurt Russell as their real father. However, the sassy Father's Day post actually opened up Bill Hudson's eyes, and Hudson reached out to the kids shortly after to patch things up. Oliver Hudson later said about the post, quote, "I haven't talked to my father in 12 years, and my dark, crazy sense of humor, I posted this Happy Abandonment Day thing, which everyone went crazy over. I was just trying to be funny. And at the end of the day, it was a good thing." And at number 6, Macaulay Culkin. Macaulay Culkin is one of the most successful child actors of all time, since he started the mega successful Home Alone series. And unfortunately, his parents took advantage of him for their own gain. While the pair were getting a divorce, they allegedly argued over his multi-million-dollar fortune, which drove a wedge between Culkin and his parents. Because of this, the family accountant was put in charge of Culkin's trust until he reached adulthood. Culkin later opened up about his relationship with his father and said they never got along even before fame. Culkin once said, quote, "My father was overbearing, very controlling. He was always the way he is even before my success. He'd play mind games to make sure I knew my place."
Number 5, the Spears. When I say the Spears family, I mean everyone who isn't Britney Spears, because what this family did to her is truly disturbing. And the star is traumatized by it to this day. Her family members, like her little sister Jamie Lynn Spears, have claimed that it's been really hard growing up in Britney's shadow, and it caused Britney to completely lose her cool and go off on her family members to say, "Are we really going to say it was hard being my sister? Really?" The star even went on to note that she's so far beyond done with her family that all she wants to do is spit in their faces and trash them on Instagram, and I don't blame her. She then went on to tell her fans, "They hurt me and nothing was done except that I lost 15 years of my life. My family owning my name. Subjected to an angel while my dad has 5 women on his tour bus drinking that cup of coffee. So cool and smooth, it must have been nice owning my name for 15 years. Not only that, her family has also used Britney's money to treat themselves to spa days where Britney was left out of, and the star couldn't even treat herself to a cup of coffee. Number 4, the Lohans. It's clear that Lindsay Lohan has never had a peaceful, normal life, and much of this reason is because her relationship with her parents has been pretty confusing not only to her, but also to the public, as Lindsay's upbringing has had her in a turbulent situation as she's been caught in the middle of her parents' divorce and feuds. And in the process, her parents haven't exactly been so kind, as her dad has done nothing but embarrass her. From telling the media that his daughter needed help and that she's in a fragile state, to releasing a phone call he taped in an attempt to prove his point, to disapprove those around Lindsay who were saying she was fine. He even convinced Lindsay at one point that she was crazy when there was nothing really wrong with her. In one voicemail he sold to the press, Lindsay could be heard crying about how no one in her family respected her and that it was never really about her, and the people around her say that they care about her when they really don't. And honestly, that was just really sad to see that happen to her. Number 3, the Carters. If it wasn't for the show House of Carters, we may have never seen how off this family was when it came to their feuds, especially when it came to the relationship of Nick and Aaron Carter. Nevertheless, the show left little to imagination, as Aaron faced a run-in with the law and slowly started to drift away from fame, as he would then expose that there was a lot more family drama when the cameras were off. At one point, the family had such a public altercation, and due to the nature of the events, Nick and his sister Angel even ended up seeking a restraining order against their younger brother Aaron. In the process, Aaron's behavior grew alarmingly to the point he even confessed he was having not the kindest thoughts about his family. While the star was begging his family to listen and help him get the help he needed, all they chose to do was block him out, and in the end, Aaron would be left saddened by what his family did to him, and that their lies truly broke his heart. Number 2, the Meesters. It would be a shame to say that Gossip Girl star Leighton Meester should make this list today, as she's truly kind and sweet in real life, but her mother Constance, on the other hand, deserves to be on this list. So back in the day, the two actually became estranged following a heated legal battle involving allegations over the misuse of the actress's money. And then when the two finally got to court, they even debated whether or not her mother deserved compensation for the role she played when it came to Leighton's acting career, which is truly disturbing because Leighton worked really hard to get to where she is today in her acting, and she probably in the process already treated her mom to all the luxuries in the world. Although the case ended in 2011, as the actress prevailed with a default judgment against her mom, it doesn't mean that it has exactly been smooth sailing for these two since. But honestly, parents need to stop thinking they can just live off their children's fortunes. Number 1, the Winter Workmans. In 2017, Modern Family star Ariel Winter would open up about her estranged relationship with her mother, Crystal Workman, and with it, we were all shocked at the fact a mother could treat her child the way Crystal treated Ariel. So after Ariel legally emancipated herself from her mother at the age of 14, she would reveal that the two haven't spoken to each other in nearly a decade. As Ariel claimed, there was a lot of physical and emotional altercations that happened when she had a relationship with her mother. During court, eventually Ariel's mother would come forward with all the allegations to admit to it to rekindle her relationship that she had with Ariel despite their terrible past. But it doesn't seem like Ariel is exactly ready to rekindle her relationship with her mother, and I don't blame her. Because to be put on strict diets and forced to stay out late at parties and to dress in an older way so men would pay attention to her isn't exactly the type of thing a parent should do. Well, that's it for this video, my little peaches. Just a reminder, I'm your host Stacey Taylor. Until the next video, remember to stay juicy. We have her mother had custody of her kids. Back in 2017, Priscilla Presley would confirm that she was caring for Lisa Marie's young children as her kid's father faced explosive allegations after Lisa Marie accused him of sexual misconduct. At the time, Lisa had been going through a very difficult divorce battle, and in the divorce papers filed, Lisa would claim that her twins' dad, Michael Lockwood, was at the subject of a criminal investigation surrounding the fact that she had found inappropriate videos and photographs of younger people on his computer. And while many people were quick to assume that Lisa's children were in foster care, Priscilla would clear up the rumors when she headed to her Facebook to say there's lots of confusion, commotion, and concern from all the talk circulating. Let me put this to rest. The girls have not been in foster care and never will be. The girls have been with me and they will be until this is all sorted out. While it's unclear why the children were not in the custody of Lisa Marie or Michael Lockwood, authorities would also choose not to open up about the official case involving Michael that had Lisa Marie feeling shocked and horrified after she discovered the photos and videos on his computer. Number 9. Bankrupt. By 2004, Lisa Marie Presley would sell off 85% of her interest in the Elvis estate for around $100 million, and it would be the biggest mistake of her life. According to court documents, Lisa Marie declared that she had an income that was around $109,000 a month, and her monthly expenses were around $92,000, which left a narrow margin, especially considering that since the fall of 2019, she had to pay just $750,000 in attorney fees. At the time of the court filing, Lisa Marie had over $3.3 million in major outstanding debt. The biggest debt by far was a line of credit from Barclays Bank UK for more than $1 million. The rest of the stated debt was dominated by unpaid state federal taxes for years 2017, 2018, and 2021. There were also a few similar things like a Maserati monthly car payment of $1,708. Some of the tax debt was being paid off on a monthly basis, and there was also $280,000 owed to a ghostwriter that was being used for her upcoming tell-all memoir. Priscilla has also stated at one point in Lisa's life she was in debt for $16 million following a disastrous business deal made by her business manager, Barry Siegel. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 8. Scared. Just days before her passing, Lisa Marie Presley would say that she blamed herself every single day for the passing of her son Benjamin. In an essay written by Lisa, she would write about how painful it was to be judged when a loved one passes in a premature, unnatural, or tragic way, especially if that loved one is your child. The essay was originally published in People in August 2022, and she would say, "I already battle with and beat myself up tirelessly and chronically, blaming myself every single day, and that's hard enough to now live with, but others will judge and blame you too, even secretly or behind your back, which is even more cruel and painful. On top of everything else," later the singer would describe her son as the sweetest and most incredible being that she has ever had the privilege of knowing, and that she said that he reminds her so much of her father Elvis on so many levels, and that it actually scared her. Number 7. Axl Rose. Recently, Axl Rose has revealed that he has a secret friendship with Lisa Marie Presley as he opened up about her tragic passing. In an interview interview with People, the Guns N' Roses singer described her passing as unreal and recalled sending her animal videos to lift her spirits following Benjamin's passing. Axl would also go on to say, "I missed my friend Lisa. Her passing, just as her son's or as a kid, her father, doesn't seem real. Lisa loved her family, all her children. My heart goes out to them." When Axl went on to describe his efforts and support of Lisa following Ben's passing, Axl would recall awkwardly broaching the issue of his passing in order to show her that he cared and he wanted her to know that he cared and wanted to comfort her. For years it's been said that Axl and Lisa had a really tight friendship and that they were known to swap jokes, news articles, and lots of animal videos as a way of raising Lisa's spirits. After the passing of her son, all he wanted was her to be happy, at least as much as one could be under the circumstances. Axl and Lisa became friends when Axl would hang out with Elvis backstage and Lisa would come to the shows, and Axl would also know it was also great to see her as she was always fun and supportive. Number 6. Michael Jackson. Just 3 weeks after her first divorce was finalized in 1994, Lisa would find herself getting married to pop icon Michael Jackson following his proposal over the phone. The pair soon then went to the Dominican Republic, where she filed for a quick divorce from her husband and then wed Michael in private. She would then later publicly announce her wedding by saying, "My married name is Miss Lisa Marie Presley Jackson. My marriage to Michael Jackson took place in a private ceremony outside of the United States weeks ago." But their marriage was rocked by the emerging allegations of accusations of abuse held against Jackson that surrounded younger people. The singer then reportedly became so dependent on Lisa Marie for emotional support while she became concerned about his use of sedative substances. Lisa Marie later said in an interview with Rolling Stone that she had hoped to have saved the Truffle singer, with the marriage being dogged by theories that the pair had an asexual relationship, leading to Lisa Marie appearing in a suggestive video for his hit in 1995, "You Are Not Alone." The pair would then later get a divorce in 1996, and Lisa Marie is said to have never stopped loving him. Number 5. Substance abuse. In Lisa Marie Presley's book, I'm Grateful to Be Alive, she opened up about her substance addiction. In the book, she would state it was a difficult path to overcome her dependence to substances and put her life back on track. She would also say in recent years that she has seen too many people she loved struggle with addiction and pass away tragically from this epidemic. She would also go on to note that it was time for all of us to say goodbye to the shame surrounding addiction and that we had to stop blaming and judging ourselves and the people around us. In the book, Lisa would specifically mention her children as the purpose to stay sober when she wrote, "As I write this, I think of my 4 children who gave me purpose to heal." And later she would state she was so grateful to be alive and that she had 4 beautiful children who had given her a sense of purpose, and that gave her the strength to carry her through her darkest times. Number 4. Finding joy. Lisa Marie was a singer just like her father, and during her time she graced us with 3 beautiful albums. She also looked to her children for joy and told Healthy Living in 2014 that she was ferociously protective over her children by saying, "I smother them in love. They are my priority. That's what I do. That's what I care about. I keep them close to me and make sure they are happy and healthy." And while Lisa Marie's children truly felt inspired by their mom because she was a very strong, smart woman who raised them to do things on their own and not care what people thought, behind her tough shell the star was breaking and searching for something to help her feel whole again. What Lisa wanted to feel the most was joy, and she spent her whole life trying to shed away from the dark and into the light where she could finally feel happy again, like she did when she was a child before she lost her father. Number 3. Scientology. While people have recently been researching details about her personal life, one of the most recent questions people have had is how Lisa Marie got involved with the Church of Scientology, and her involvement wouldn't be the proudest moment of her life. Lisa Marie was reported to have joined the Church of Scientology shortly after her father's passing in 1977. According to OK Magazine, she was brought to the church by her mother, who found it hard to handle Lisa after she got involved in substances in her youth. Lisa's involvement with the church thus began and lasted for several decades. While earlier in her involvement, she would claim that Scientology saved her life, later on, in the cult-like religion, she would take a clean break as she claimed it had taken advantage of her and wanted everything she had when she mentioned, "I slowly started to self-destruct. They were taking my soul, my money, my everything." Unlike other former Scientologists, she did not reveal too much about the reason that led her to her decision to leave the church. However, there have been some reports regarding her involvement, and she isn't so proud of them. Number 2, dark kid. At the age of 9, Lisa Marie would lose her father, and she would continue to endure a string of passings soon after. When in a 2-year period, the Lights Out singer also lost her grandfather as well as her great-grandfather and aunts. In 2003, she would tell Newsweek magazine, "I didn't have much of a runway in life. I was like a deep, dark kid who was always melancholy." Lisa Marie also struggled during her teen years when she started to rebel against her mother, Priscilla Presley. While the star claims that she was in a destruction mode, she would then admit in an interview with Playboy that same year that she did anything her mom didn't want her to do, from smoking, drinking, substances, boys, whatever she could get her hands on. And that she went through a substance phase for like 3 years, and it would cause her to be thrown out of her house by her mom, and she would be forced to stay at the Scientology Center. And coming at number 1 today, we have the grueling legal battle. Like any mother, no one wants their children to know the grueling details about the failed relationship she has with their father. With Lisa Marie and Michael Lockwood being officially divorced since May of 2021, they had a grueling legal battle. And a lot of her problems she had with Michael, she would keep a secret for her children's sake. The former couple made the decision to part ways in 2016 following 10 years of marriage, but they have been in and out of court for years, arguing over everything from custody of their teenage twin daughters to money matters. 5 months after the pair finalized their divorce, Lockwood would take Elvis Presley's daughter to court yet again in October of 2021, petitioning for higher child support payments, claiming that he had no steady income at the time. The mother of 4 fought back, saying she couldn't afford it because she was in debt. But Michael alleged that she was still pulling over $200,000 from her rock legend dad's estate, and the judge would rule that Lisa Marie would have to cop up $4,600 per month. In March of 2022, Michael would then demand her financial records be made public after his estranged ex refused to share details of her book contract, following reports that she was promised at least $3 million to write a memoir on her father as well as her relationship with Michael Jackson. That same month, the musician would also question to know how much money the mother of his children would be pulling from the Elvis biopic. It's clear that Michael was really interested on leeching Lisa Marie's money and would become really aggressive to get more money, and it's clear that he felt he should know all about her income so he could dictate how much of it she should be giving him. And this was a secret she kept so she wouldn't hurt her children, because she didn't want them to know that their father was a gold digger. Being close with your family isn't really an easy task, especially when you find your family members to be rude and condescending. Hi, I'm Stacey Taylor, and today I'm counting down the top 10 rudest families exposed by Hollywood. So what famous families do you think are rude, and let us know in the comments below. Coming at number 10 today, we have the Kardashians. Being the most powerful family in Hollywood comes with a price, as not only are the Kardashian-Jenners' lives filled with drama and ongoing tensions, but it seems like when you get on the family's bad side, they will do everything in their power to end your career. Just look at Jordyn Woods for an example. For the longest time, she was Kylie Jenner's best friend, and they all even took Jordyn in as family. But after news broke that she allegedly made out with Tristan Thompson after he gave her a quick peck on the lips before leaving a party, the family couldn't believe it at first, given how close Jordyn was with them for years. But after multiple sources confirmed the betrayal, the family would mock Woods, ruin her career, and Kylie even kicked her out of her guest home. And they don't just do it with their friends, they will also do it to strong females in power like Taylor Swift, as Kim went on to manipulate phone calls to make it look like Taylor agreed to Kanye's song Famous. This family just has all sorts of bad energy that you should just avoid altogether. Number 9, the Biebers. So tapping into all the recent Hailey Bieber and Selena Gomez drama, it appears as if Justin Bieber has finally entered the chat, as he has thrown some major shade at his ex, which proves that he and his wife aren't exactly the nicest people in Hollywood. The singer, who threw his 29th birthday over the weekend, could be seen celebrating with his nearest and dearest, but one person who for sure wasn't on the guest list was indeed Selena Gomez. Although he did appear, however, to reference the actress with the party favors he handed out that day. Guests who attended the party were given a silver souvenir that had the words "I'm so thankful that I didn't end up with what I thought I wanted" engraved into the side. While Justin did not address the meaning behind the gift, fans were quick to assume that it was definitely about his ex, and even branded the singer as being petty, as the gift pretty much was screaming, "Hey guys, look at me, I'm still living in the past, and I'm just as miserable as my wife, and that's why we deserve each other." Also, admitting to your wife that she was your second choice on your birthday had to hurt, but then again, maybe he meant to do it on purpose, so she knew. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming in number 8, we have the Smiths. So back in 2016, the New York Post ran a scathing opinion piece about the Smiths children titled, "Any reasonable parent would be ashamed of Will Smith's kids." And while it wasn't the only story to criticize the power couple's parenting at the time, it was probably one of the most insulting ones. With the article stating that Will and Jada were horrible parents, and the article failed to mention how messed up the family could be at times thanks to Jada's odd choices that she makes her family follow. Let's not forget that they allegedly opened a secret Scientology school in one of their own homes, as in 2017 they would be exposed by former Scientologist Lee Ramini, who claimed that Jada has been a long-time down low member. Now both Will and Jada have denied that they have any sorts of affiliation with the controversial religion, and that they were never swingers, but when it was revealed that the couple was in fact in an open marriage, we knew right away that there had to be truth behind their Scientology affiliation. And what makes matters even worse is that they even sent their own children to the short-lived school that was widely believed to be a center for Scientology, called New Village Leadership Academy, which opened in 2008 before quietly shutting down 5 years later, and Will and Jada were even pictured among high top people in Scientology within that school. Number 7, the Markles plus Harry. Prior to Meghan Markle entering into the royal family, she was known to be pretty problematic, but it's clear that the star just doesn't really understand what family means, as she created a pretty dysfunctional one for herself while she ruined her husband's relationship to his family in the process. And it makes you wonder when the two are going to stop bashing their families and put all their drama aside. But even celebrities are starting to claim that they haven't had such warm conversations with the couple, as Rebel Wilson once revealed on Watch What Happens Live that Meghan wasn't so cool with her when both of their conversations got ultimately awkward, as Meghan wasn't as naturally warm as she was trying to paint herself to be. But we already knew this, because let's not forget the royal staff said they treated them so bad, some even had to quit being members of the staff. But it just seems at this point that the couple's trying to rebrand their image and grow their family, but they just keep making more mistakes in the process. Number 6, the Hiltons. There's no doubt that the Hiltons are a very successful family, but on the other hand, they also have so much drama as they do money. For instance, Paris Hilton is no stranger to the spotlight, and since she's been in it, she hasn't always made the best decision, and even her grandfather believes that she may have had a negative impact on the family's reputation. I mean, he's really not wrong to make that statement, as she has bullied half of Hollywood. Her outrageous partying has been spread across the tabloids since she entered into the spotlight, and because of it, her inheritance from her grandfather has been lowered significantly due to the fact that he doesn't approve of some of the things she has done. But to be honest, this family has been associated with questionable behavior for as long as time. Not only that, but even Paris's mother advised her daughters to marry not for love, but to marry for money. And she's even started to advise her granddaughters to do the same thing, which is actually kind of disgusting, because for one, money doesn't buy you happiness, and for two, how do you expect men to love them when they're just going after their pockets?
Halfway number 5, Janet Jackson. It's no secret that the Jackson children hated their father, Joe Jackson. Multiple Jackson 5 members have spoken out against their father's horrible treatment of them, especially since they were only kids when he put them to work. The songstress, along with her famous brother Michael Jackson, were reportedly physically punished for the most absurd reasons. Janet explained that Joe never allowed her to call him father or daddy, and instead she had to call him by his real name. Because of how much she did not like him, Joe was not present at Janet's wedding when she married Wissam Almana. Michael Jackson said of his father, quote, "He was very strict, very hard, very stern. With just a look he would scare you. I was very scared, frightened of him." And at number 4, Selena Gomez. Selena's relationship with her mother is better than it has been in years, following her mother's health crisis. Gomez and her mother, Mandy Tife, had an okay relationship early on in the singer's career. Mandy was even Selena's manager until 2014. When Selena decided to get a different manager, her mom flipped out, and that's when the tension started. Mandy also did not approve of Justin Bieber or his relationship with Selena. Things seemed to be good between Selena and her mom when they both signed up to be producers on the Netflix hit series 13 Reasons Why together, but it did not last long. In 2017, they unfollowed each other on Instagram, and more drama ensued. A month after they unfollowed each other, Tife publicly criticized her daughter's decision to join the cast of Woody Allen's film A Rainy Day in New York. because of past allegations by Allen's adopted daughter, Dylan Farrow. However, their issue seemed to have solved by 2018. And at number 3, the Kardashian sisters. The Kardashian family is one of the strongest families of all time. No matter what happens, they always stick together, as long as nobody double-crosses a family member. Sadly, that's exactly what Caitlyn Jenner did, and because of the betrayal, the family wants nothing to do with her. In 2017, Jenner published her autobiography titled The Secrets of My Life, in which she delved pretty deep into her stepchildren's private lives, exposing some of the family's biggest secrets. Caitlyn claimed that Rob Kardashian knew OJ was guilty but defended him anyway. Caitlyn also accused Kris of knowing of her gender struggles pre-transition and doing everything possible not to see Caitlyn be her true self, which the family denied. In an interview with Howard Stern, Khloe Kardashian revealed that she felt betrayed when she discovered that many people outside the family knew about Caitlyn's transition before members of the family did. All of this concluded in the family distancing themselves from Caitlyn for years. The relationship is better now, but still not what it was before the book. And at number 2, Beyonce. Since her father pushed her so much while she was young, Beyonce has been open about her tense relationship with her father. Her dad, Matthew Knowles, was her manager from the start of her career in the late 90s to 2011 when Beyonce decided to fire him. Apparently, he was accused of taking more money than his allotted commission. His rocky relationship with Beyonce's mother, Tina Knowles, also put a strain on his relationship with his children. Matthew would leave her and come back whenever he felt like it. Then in 2011, Tina divorced him after news broke that he fathered an illegitimate child with Alexandra Wright. Years later, he would also father a child with another woman in 2014. Then in 2013, neither Beyonce or her sister Solange attended their father's wedding, but they did attend their mother's wedding in 2015, clearly taking their mother's side. Matthew has also thrown shady digs at Beyonce's way. In 2018, he claimed she was only successful because she was light-skinned. And finally, at number 1, Adele. Adele made her tense relationship with her father clear during an acceptance speech in 2017, where she said, quote, "I don't love my dad," saying instead that her longtime manager Jonathan Dickens was her true father figure. Adele revealed in 2011 that her father struggled with alcohol addiction when she was young, and it put a huge strain on their relationship. The drinking started after her grandfather passed away, and her father did not take it well. He reportedly became very distant after his father's death and completely shut Adele out of his life. Thankfully, Adele and her father were able to reconcile shortly before he passed away. Alrighty guys, that is all for the list today. Let me know your thoughts below and let me know anyone that I missed that could be in a part 2. I've been your host, Mackenzie Smith. Make sure to subscribe for more, and we'll catch you in the next one. And at number 10, Harry and Meghan are related. This should be taken with a slight grain of salt because at some point, if we go back far enough, we're pretty much all related. So as we know, Meghan was born American, and of course Harry is British, but they still share some DNA. The Daily Mail did a genealogical investigation where it was revealed that Harry and Meghan are cousins dating back to the 15th century. The connection is on Markle's father's side, but of course it's 15 generations back, so there are no real connections still intact, and there's zero chance anyone will be related at family gatherings. And at number 9, always wanted to be famous. An old friend of Meghan's came forward after the engagement claiming that Meghan always wanted to be famous, even since childhood. She not only loved being the center of attention from a young age, she was very calculated in who she spent her time with. Nanaki Pretty told the Daily Mail, quote, "All I can say now is I think that Meghan was calculated, very calculated in the way she handled people and relationships. She is very strategic in the way she cultivates circles of friends." Pretty also claimed that Meghan always wanted to be famous. Royal scholars have pointed out that this trait is a positive for Meghan and Harry's relationship. Apparently most of Harry's other relationships didn't work out because the women he was with did not like all the attention, but clearly this is not an issue for Meghan. Penny Jenner, author of Prince Harry, Brother Soldier's Son, told the Express, quote, "One of the advantages of Meghan is because she is in the public eye, she likes that. The real problem with Harry's girlfriends in the past is that they absolutely hated the media attention that scared them off." And at number 8, Meghan cheated with Harry. After Meghan was confirmed to be dating Prince Harry, it came out that there might have been some overlap between her relationship with Harry and with her ex, who was Canadian chef Corey Vitelio. Before she started dating Harry, Meghan was seen out with the chef on multiple occasions. Nobody thought anything about her past relationship until a fan noticed that Vanity Fair changed the date when Harry and Meghan started dating from May to July of 2016, because apparently she was still with the chef in May. Harry and Meghan first met at the Invictus Games in Toronto, and when Harry asked for her number, the Telegraph reported that she was still with her ex. The Daily Mail actually asked the chef about his split with Meghan, and he claimed that he and Meghan had quote, parted permanently when Harry came on scene. However, he did somewhat hint that the pair might have been together in some capacity while she still was with Harry. And at number 7, fame changed her. After news broke that Meghan was marrying Harry and would become a princess, many sources came out saying that fame had changed her, and she's all about climbing the social ladder. In December of 2017, news broke that Samantha Markle, who is Meghan's estranged half-sister, was planning a tell-all book about Meghan. In an interview with The Sun, Samantha said, quote, "Hollywood has changed her. I think her ambition is to become a princess." Samantha also complained that Meghan forgot about her after gaining high society status. A source close to the family told E! News that Samantha cannot be trusted. However, Samantha is not the only person who says this about Meghan. Meghan's former best friend, Nikki Minaj, told the Daily Mail in December 2017, quote, "There's Meghan before fame and Meghan after fame." And at number 6, chose career over marriage. Before Meghan was known for her role on Suits, she was actually married to a producer named Trevor Engelson for 2 years, before they eventually split. The split was apparently caused because of Meghan's work, and a former friend said that Meghan clearly chose her career and work over her husband. The former friend, who served as a maid of honor at Markle's wedding to Engelson, told the Daily Mail, quote, "It was such a shock when she told me they were getting divorced. Apparently the stress of the long-distance relationship is what caused the main issue. Meghan was living in Canada at the time, filming the show Suits while her husband was in LA. Apparently Engelson was heartbroken over the split and did not see it coming." Halfway at number 5, does not treat animals well. Meghan Markle likes to be known for her humanitarian and social efforts. One thing that Meghan is very proud of is that she adopted 2 dogs from a rescue shelter. But it seems that it was not happily ever after for the 2 puppies. After Meghan became a princess and was set to move to Kensington Palace in 2017, a spokesperson confirmed that Markle's retriever, Bogart, would not join her overseas. Apparently Meghan felt that it was inhumane for the dog to take the long trip, along with the difficult approval process for dogs coming into the country, and Meghan left the dog with one of her friends in LA. Then later in December, Daily Mail reported that her other dog, Guy, broke both of his legs. We're not sure what the circumstances were, but apparently Meghan was quote distraught over the accident. And at number 4, Meghan cut off her friends. After Meghan split from her ex-husband, it was said that she spent a lot of time in London. While there, she apparently formed a friendship with local TV personality Lizzie Cundy. After attending an event together, Lizzie disclosed that Meghan wanted her to help finding a new man. Apparently Meghan wanted him to be British and famous. In a 2019 tell-all, Cundy wrote about Meghan, quote, "We were having a girly chat and then she said, 'Do you know any famous guys? I'm single and I really love English men.' So I said, we'll go out and find you someone." Apparently Meghan was interested in soccer player Ashley Cole, but it didn't go anywhere. Then Meghan apparently slid into the DMs of X Factor winner Matt Cardle in 2015, but shortly after that Cardle just stopped replying. But apparently after Harry showed some interest in Meghan, Meghan felt she had no need to stay in touch with Lizzie Cundy anymore and basically ghosted her. Apparently Cundy asked Meghan about Harry, then they chatted for a bit, but never saw each other again. Cundy added, quote, "I was literally ghosted by her." And then number 3, the staff hate her. It was reported that while Meghan and Harry were living in the royal palace with the other family members, the staff hated Meghan so much that they started to quit. In October of 2018, a palace aide and assistant named Melissa quit because of, quote, Hurricane Meghan. Apparently Melissa was a longtime aide of the family's and a trusted assistant, but that all changed when Meghan came into the picture and annoyed the staff with her requests. Apparently Meghan adopted a lot of West Coast habits like waking up at 5 a.m. and, quote, bombarding aides with texts. One source told the Mirror, quote, "Meghan put a lot of demands on her and it ended up with her in tears. Melissa is a total professional and fantastic at her job, but things came to a head and it was easier for them to both go their separate ways." Apparently Meghan's tension with her staff also caused a rift between Meghan and Kate. Kate apparently called out Meghan for her strict and disrespectful behavior towards the staff. And at number 2, inappropriate requests. On the day of Harry and Meghan's wedding, Meghan wanted everything to be exactly the way she liked it, which is usually what happens for normal weddings. But royal weddings are much different, and most of what happens is passed down for generations and become very strong traditions for the royals. Meghan tried to change a lot of things around for her wedding, which people did not like. One of the most offensive requests was when Meghan asked for air fresheners to be deployed in the chapel where she was to get married. Apparently the smell inside St. George's Chapel was not good enough for her. British insiders stated it does have somewhat of a musty smell, but it is not unpleasant, and it's expected for a building that's been around since 1475. A source said that Meghan wanted the staff to go around with spray guns to make it smell better, but the request was denied. The source said, quote, "Royal household staff stepped in and told her office politely but firmly that this was the Queen's chapel and it simply wasn't appropriate. I don't believe a request of that nature has ever been made before." And finally at number 1, Meghan knew she wouldn't stay royal. The exit of Harry and Meghan from the royal family was devastating news to many. But after further investigation, it seems that Meghan might have known she was not going to be a royal for long. And she might have even concocted this scheme to get the most amount of press possible, then to leave the royal family and go back to Hollywood, where she's always wanted to be. When it was announced that the royals would be leaving, everyone blamed the decision on Meghan, as she was the only change in the family before Harry's formal exit. British columnists said that they think Meghan did not know the difference between being a celebrity and being a royal. Canadian millionaire Kevin O'Leary even slammed Meghan, saying she was the reason that nobody cares about the couple anymore. Quote, "I think Meghan got him into a bad place, and maybe she should do a little soul searching. She knew what she was getting into when she married him." Page 6 also reported that Meghan put some clothes in a storage location in Canada before she got married. She then decided to keep them in Canada, and they were sent to the couple's new Vancouver home after the Megxit announcement. Maybe Meghan left them there because she knew she would be coming back.
Let's get into the top 10 secrets Prince William and Kate Middleton don't want you to know. In at number 10, brief separation. Kate and William first met in university while studying at St. Andrews. Will was first interested in Kate after he saw her walking the runway in a fashion event. But during their university days, the pair went through a separation that was almost the end of their relationship. Things started going south the summer of 2004, a year before graduation. The separation was documented in the book William and Harry Behind the Palace Walls. At this time, William told his friends he felt, quote, claustrophobic being with Kate. That summer, the pair decided to try separating to see if that would bring them closer. William went to Greece for a boys' trip while Kate spent time with her family. Insiders said that during the summer, quote, she was debating whether or not she should text or call him. She said how sad she was and how much she was missing William, but she never mentioned it after that. Kate was heartbroken when it was rumored that William started seeing other people during this break, but in the end, they ended up back together. And at number 9, Kate and Meghan feud. It's long been reported that Meghan and Kate do not get along, but it was never confirmed by either of the women until Meghan did her explosive Oprah interview. In November of 2018, a report from The Sun claimed that Meghan Markle made Kate Middleton cry during a bridesmaid dress fitting. But Markle claimed in the Oprah interview that it was the other way around, and Kate actually made Meghan cry. Markle continued, quote, "And I don't say that to be disparaging to anyone because it was a really hard week for the wedding and she was really upset about something." Markle even said that Kate later apologized for this outburst. Markle called the way the incident was handled a turning point in her relationship with Harry's family. Sources from Kate's camp also said that after the interview, she was frustrated that Meghan brought it up because she was hoping it was done with. And at number 8, Will dumped Kate on a phone call. The pair went through a brief split once again in 2007, and to make the breakup even worse, Will dumped her over the phone. The cherry on top is that it all went down while she was at work, so she had to try and keep it together the rest of the day. According to the book William and Kate, A Royal Love Story, she was working as an accessories buyer at Jigsaw, a luxury retailer, when she all of a sudden got a call from Will saying he wanted to end things. An insider claimed, quote, she excused herself, went to a back conference room out of earshot of the other buyers, shut the door, and for the next hour heard Will sputter the reasons that he was breaking up with her. Even though that kind of behavior would usually prevent a woman from ever speaking to him again, they eventually got back together and Kate forgave him. In a joint TV interview announcing their engagement, she said about their split, quote, "It actually made me a stronger person. You find out things about yourself that maybe you hadn't realized." And at number 7, underpay staff. Working for the royals seems like a dream until you realize that the pay is probably lower than you would think, considering the family is uber rich. Staff at the Kensington Palace even threatened to strike in 2016 when a pay cut of about $5,000 a year was threatened. This came after a $3 million renovation to the palace, so clearly the royals had the money to pay people adequately. Even though it's been reported that many of the royal staff do not do their job for money, rather they take pride in working so closely with the royals. The insider also wanted to make it clear that the staffers who worked most closely with William and Kate were not considering the strike, but her staff have shaded her in the past. One of Kate's staff said about her, quote, "Kate is a lovely, lovely girl. She totally adores her husband, and they're devoted to each other. But that extra something, which you would call the X factor, the magic quality, charisma, it's not there." Ouch. And at number 6, shady ski trip. It seems that Will and the boys' trips are a very bad mix because he's had quite a few shady moments while out with the boys. Once was back in 2017 when he decided to take a skiing trip with some friends that got him in a lot of trouble. Insiders claim that Middleton was very angry when she saw tabloid photos showing Will dancing in a club, and in one picture dancing with a blonde woman, putting his hands on her waist. All this was happening while Kate was at home with the kids. Even worse, this trip caused William to miss a Commonwealth Day service at Westminster Abbey, which is a huge event for the royals. Reports surfaced that the Queen was not pleased and had a stern talking to with him when he got back. And at number 5, William's affair. Like I said before, Will has been rumored to have cheated many times over the years, but there was never more proof than in 2020 when the tabloids claimed that Will cheated on Kate while she was pregnant with her 3rd child. The rumor started when The Sun published an article claiming that Kate was feuding with fellow royal and friend Rose Hanbury. Nobody was sure why this feud started, although it was rumored that Will was having an affair with Rose. Then In Touch decided to take the cat out of the bag and confirm these cheating rumors in an article. Then in another Daily Beast article, the affair was said to be confirmed in a tweet by a royal reporter who quickly took it back and deleted this tweet after backlash. The palace even took legal action against these reports and denied any rumors. In at number 4, broke restrictions. Because of the virus we're all fighting, many governments implemented restrictions on travel and leaving the home unless necessary. In December of 2020, the UK had some of the strictest measures, so many thought it was strange when Will and Kate still decided to travel. It was reported that the royals took a, quote, private royal train to Scotland, stopping in the country's capital of Edinburgh, which was under Tier 3 restrictions. This meant no leaving your home unless it was essential. The royals were in the area to praise healthcare workers, which is very nice of them, but not essential. In the couple's defense, the Scottish government admitted that they did know about the visit in advance and took precautions. But there was a lot of talk that a Zoom meeting would have sufficed. And at number 3, unnecessary trip. Of course, the royals deserve a vacation every once in a while, but since taxpayers essentially fund these trips, they get a lot of scrutiny from the press. The royals were criticized after they decided to take a trip when Prince George was only 7 months old and did not take him along. The couple decided to travel to the Maldives in 2013, calling the trip a second honeymoon. The Daily Mail noted that the couple was accompanied by several taxpayer-funded Scotland Yard detectives. Clearly a sore spot for the public. This trip also happened less than a month after William went on another short hunting vacation with his brother Harry. Kate had also gone on a vacation with her family shortly before. In a separate article, the Daily Mail reported a supposed, quote, storm of protest by taxpayers who criticized the excessive trips. And at number 2, Kate and Meghan never friends. It was reported that as of March of 2021, Kate and Meghan had not spoken to each other in over a year, only meeting for functions where both women were attending. And now that the bombshell news that Kate made Meghan cry has been exposed, word share they will not be friendly anytime soon. The reason the feud started was because of tension between their husbands, Harry and William. A royal source said, quote, there's real animosity that the brothers have towards one another, and that has spilled over to Meghan and Kate's relationship, making it very hard for them to be friends or even friendly. The two women are also reportedly very different and really don't have a lot in common. Even though during the Oprah interview Meghan claimed that she'd forgiven Kate, this reportedly made tensions even worse between William and Harry. A source said, quote, William is very protective of Kate and can get very angry. For Meghan to name Kate in a negative light is worse than being attacked himself. And finally, number 1, secret names. Since this pair is so famous, they have decided to use secret names for each other during trips so they don't give away too many details to the public. Reportedly, the Duchess of Cambridge is known as Daphne Clark when she goes away, and the Duke goes by the alias of Danny Collins, according to The Express. Both of the initials of the fake names are DC, a nod to their true titles as Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. Apparently, Kate has more than one codename that she will use, but this one has been confirmed since she let it slip during a shopping trip in Wales in 2010, according to The Mirror.
Let's get right into the truth about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. A new tell-all book has just been released that gives readers an in-depth behind-the-scenes look at the royal family. With a central focus around Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, authors Omid Scobie and Carolyn Durand unpack the secrets hidden in the royal couple's relationship. The book is called Finding Freedom, Harry and Meghan and the Making of a Modern Royal Family, if you want to check it out. The origin of this book has become a bit of a hot topic of debate as well. You see, the authors claim that they obtained all of their information by conducting over 100 interviews with those who know Harry and Meghan best, and even some Buckingham Palace aides. That being said, Palace insiders believe that the book was sanctioned by Harry and Meghan, which is being billed as the truth behind their departure from the royal family. Setting aside as to whether or not that they had any say in the book, it certainly brought a lot of things to light about their life as members of the royal family. Harry and Meghan actually met on a blind date that took place at Soho House's Dean Street townhouse in London. A source in the palace told the authors that they chatted over drinks for nearly 3 hours before going their separate ways. Almost immediately though, they were obsessed with one another, and Harry apparently appeared to be in a trance of some sort after his date. Meghan had checked off every box for Harry, and he knew that they would be together even after that one date. Due to how high profile Prince Harry's life is though, he and Meg had to do a lot of very secretive dates to avoid any negative publicity. Like, I read that they got walked in through a back door into a restaurant and they had to shut the whole place down. Craziness. Once they became a public couple though, it would become expressly clear as to why they hid the relationship for so long. You see, in the early days of their romance, Prince Harry had gifted Meghan with a 14-karat gold chain bearing the initials of H&M. a.m. Apparently, this necklace alone sparked a huge controversy behind the castle walls, like Game of Thrones behind the castle walls. The authors in the book detailed what happened and said she was advised that wearing such a necklace only served to encourage the photographers to keep pursuing such images and new headlines. When Meghan finally met Harry's brother William, she was worried that he would grill her, but instead William reportedly said that he was looking forward to meeting the woman who had put that silly grin on his brother's face, which is kinda cute. Sadly, Meghan experienced a lot of hatred for the color of her skin, to the point where Harry had to issue a statement that was released by his communications secretary. In part of the statement they said, Prince Harry is worried about Miss Markle's safety and is deeply disappointed that he has not been able to protect her. It is not right that a few months into a relationship with him that Miss Markle should be subjected to such a storm. He knows commentators will say that this is the price that she has to pay and that this is all part of the game. He strongly disagrees. This is not a game, it is her life and his. Harry went on to condemn the racist and sexist abuse that his girlfriend was going through the moment that the relationship went public. His relationship with his brother is a bit tumultuous as well though. According to the book sources, William had told Harry to not feel like he needed to rush this relationship, and apparently that really angered Harry, which some palace insiders believe was an overreaction, and maybe, but who knows, we weren't there. However, it still sums up them as people, with William being the calm and rational one, and Harry being the one who can't help but take things far too personally. Perhaps the most frustrating truth about this couple is the amount of criticism and flack that they get on a daily basis from not just the royal family, but even the staff who work there. For example, the Queen's longtime dresser Angela Kelly was constantly at odds with Harry leading up to the wedding. He was trying to obtain access to Meghan's chosen tiara for a hair trial in advance for the big day, but Angela was constantly dragging her feet. She kept telling him that the Queen was rejecting her choice of tiara, but in reality there was never a disagreement between Meghan and the Queen. Rather, the conflict was just between Harry and Angela. More concerns about the stability of the royal family started to bubble up simply by trying to organize a family photo. The book alleges that Prince William and Prince Harry were not excited to get together for this photo either. A source close to the family said the boys can be hot and cold with their father, calling the planning for the photo an absolute nightmare, adding that neither William nor Harry made much of an effort to make themselves available. Now, if you've been following this couple, then you'll know that both of them have chosen to step away from their royal duties. Again, according to the book, Buckingham Palace had little warning when it came to the details of them announcing that they were stepping down from their royal duties in January. What absolutely flustered the Buckingham Palace aides was that a website had laid out the intricacies of their departure. However, despite having people conspire against them and trying to ruin their relationship from the get-go, the couple are doing just fine now. They've been living in a secluded compound in Los Angeles with their 1-year-old son Archie, while still doing volunteer work in the area delivering meals with Project Angel food.